Hi. God, I think I need to... I'm trying to figure out the optimal mic placement. Okay, I think I got it. Okay. Hi. Hello. Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever it is, wherever you are. This is Himeutsugi. And I think I need to turn up the gain a little because I turned it down last time, and then when I was rewatching the Hotful Boyfriend VOD, I realized how quiet I was and was like, oh crap, everybody is so much louder than me. Oopsies. Okay. So I think there. I might have overdone it because I was worried with the mic being closer to my face than it was before that it would be too loud, but I think I overcompensated. But yeah, hello everyone. Let's see. I see that Chipper Pigeon got first, and then hello Zachary. Hello Marine, I think, over there on YouTube. Hello Stoat, Vane, Killer Flame. Oh, that rhymed. Mr. Schaff. I think I saw Say, who already took my glasses. 64. Let's see. Zebulon, Crimson. Good to see everyone this morning. Sorry, I was supposed to play another game today, but I've just really had Abyss Echo on the brain since the last time I played it, and so I hope you all won't mind me playing it a little bit more. And I have actually, if you're in the Discord, you might have seen this, but I did actually clear off some more desk space on the right, so that I could have some more room for like the different game components and stuff. So hopefully I've got space. I also did get the push pins. Oh, I forgot to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go, actually I will put up the trophy board on the wall, then it'll be there on the wall and I don't have to keep it folded up. So let me run and do that really, grab the push pins because I left them downstairs. So let me do that really quick. I will be right back. Okay, sorry I'm back. I brought it. The cute thing is I got it from school. I brought the push pins from my little collection at school, which I also paid for, by the way, so I'm not taking like the school's push pins. They were my push pins. And I was puzzling to myself a little. I was like, oh no, these are sharp. How am I going to take, I don't want to just stuff them in my bag. And one of my students folded this little bag for me out of paper. Isn't that so sweet? Yeah, so now I can hang this up. Also, it's good I got up because there's... Okay, I think I've mentioned this before, but ever since I've gotten back from Offkai, my house has had like a mosquito infestation, and I get bitten all the time. I'm not even safe in the comfort of my own home anymore. So I had to go and get some like little itch cream, because in the time that I've been sitting here getting set up for stream, it has bitten me 3 times. It's just my legs and arms are just covered in mosquito bites. Pretty constantly the last several weeks. It's extremely annoying. And hang on, so I'm just gonna take care of that really quick and try not to think about it, because that seems to be the best defense, is just not to think about it too hard, because the more I'm like aware of the bites, the itchier it is. School, you're a teacher. Yes, I feel like I talk about this all the time, but yes, if you're only just now discovering this, yes, when I'm not a parrot in a haunted castle, I am a teacher, so. Which is also why I was really busy this week and a little dead. It's because this was the first week back at school, so. No, you're not. It's just funny that you didn't notice, because it's not like it's a thing I talk about a lot. Hi, Elle! Oh my gosh, I hope you're doing okay, Elle. My goodness. Poor Elle had his, Discord hacked, and it's been like a whole thing. I don't know if you can recover. I feel bad because you spent you put so much effort into making such a wonderful Discord community. I hope you don't have to do that again. Hi, Silver! Oh my gosh, 25 stream streak, look at that. Also, yeah, my voice is a bit, I've been talking a lot this week. Obviously, I talk a lot as a streamer. Usually when I'm, at school, I don't talk that much because my students do, like, most of my learning is through videos that I record, so they watch that at home, and then at school I don't have to talk too much. But it's the first week of school, I have to explain rules and all sorts of stuff, so my voice is a bit ragged. I honestly also considered just canceling the stream today, but you know, I think it'll be okay. I think my voice it just needs to be warmed up a bit. Yeah, and you could even make it like extra fancy the second time, who knows, so. And okay, so I'm going to put up the little board, so I'm just gonna put take my earbuds out for a second. And the board is gonna just go on the wall right behind me. I think there's plenty of space on the wall here. So then if I have to show the board, I can just turn the camera around very carefully, without doxing myself. I will be able to show the board from time to time. I'll remove all those extra channels. I wasn't complaining. I am just an easily confused old bird. Oh, she made this out of 2 Post-its. That's smart, because that way the sticky part of the Post-it kept the bag closed. That's actually genius. The kids are all right. Okay. Hime is a movie star? Oh my gosh. That's star in my own movies, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna I have these really cute little wooden push pins. Let's put this in the wall. I kind of eyeballed it the other day, and there's just enough space. The 2 top ones and then the 2 bottom ones. I need both. Alright. I hope this isn't crooked. It looks straight to me. I'm trying to align it with like the little shelves I have here, and I think it's aligned. Got the top 2 pins, now I'll do the bottom 2 pins, and we'll be good to go. Yay. But I hope everybody had a good week. I don't know if I have any other fellow school teachers here, or students, I suppose, but you had to start up again this week. Right there with you. But the school year has been off to a really good start so far, I think. I can't get the poster to lie perfectly flat. I think I messed up. Right. I think that's the best I can do. It's not totally flat, it's just tough because it was folded. So even as I like ran my hands down it to make sure that it stayed as flat as possible, it's not perfect. That's okay. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay, let me turn it around so y'all can see it on the board. Hi Revi! Good to see you. Yeah, so let me turn it around. Actually, I don't really think it's possible for me to dox, but okay, I shouldn't say such things. That's a death flag. But I think with the angle that I have the second camera, it's not really like... It's highly unlikely that I can dox myself. Let's put it that way. Okay. Let me check the camera. Oh, that's so funny. I'm trying to get it to look at the poster on the wall, and it zoomed in on Hua Cheng's face because I have him on a standee. That's funny. That is very funny. My camera definitely has a type. I was like, what the? That's not the wall, and it's because it zoomed in on Hua Cheng. That is so funny. Alright, hang on. Move some stuff out of the way. Okay. It's not perfect, but at least you can see where I've put it for now. The camera knows what it wants. It's true. It's true. A little too well, I would say. Okay. Let's see. So I think I've angled it fine, but yeah. So I put it on the wall, so you can see the board there on my wall. It's not a perfect angle. I guess I could lift it a little so you could see it. There. So, there it is. So anytime I get a sticker or something, I will be adding it to that board. And then I'll just take a picture of the board at the end, because it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's super interesting to be witnessing me put the sticker up, and I feel like that's just asking to dox myself. So yeah, so I'll take a picture of it at the end, and it'll go in the Discord and stuff, so y'all can see like the final progress with all the stickers and stuff. But that's where it is. Alright, now I'm going to turn the camera back the other way. So if you weren't here last time, I utilize both my cameras and just sort of switch between a top view versus a side view, depending on like what we're looking at, you know? So I gotta put that back where it was. Okay. Wow, it's the light of day, so you can much more clearly see all my junk now. All my stuff and things all over my desk. Hi, Sunset! Yeah, okay. Alright, so we're going to dive back in. See if I can... okay. Now I'm not turned all the way to the right. I also brought a little protein pastry up here that I'm going to be eating as we go. Hadn't eaten anything for breakfast yet, so this is sort of my brunch hours, so breakfasty, sort of. All right. Oh. Okay, so right. I get a better look at things. Okay, I think that should be fine. It's a little tilted. That way you can sort of see. That way if I have stuff over here, like I think I might put the stand scope here. Then I have a little bit more space for other things. Now, I have the character cards. Now I have a little bit more space for things, because I've got this side of my desk that's free. Let me move some of these dice out of the way. There we go. Now there's space for both. And I'll just keep the cards here in a stack, the character cards. Okay. Time to get the Z-binder. Alright, and so I had put a bookmark in last time, which is very cute. It has like the save load thing on it, so I know exactly where we left off. Okay. So I'll put the bookmark off to the side for when we need it at the end here, and now I think it's time to switch to this side view so y'all can see the book. Okay. Did I have it further back before? Okay. Raise up this camera a little bit. It's on a little tripod, so... Or maybe I just had it further back. There we go. Okay, so I think that should be good. Hard to see. There we go. All right. So now it feels like I'm reading you a story. I know if you weren't here last time, this game is very much like it is like a cross between a TTRPG and a board game, but it also feels very much like a choose-your-own-adventure novel. It's just, instead of just being able to choose between like this choice and that choice, there's also an element of like, well, you're going to roll a die and see what happens, and so that's sort of the tabletop part. And as you can see, there's all these little bits and bobs like the sanity scope that I had put off to the side, the special fracture die, and all of that stuff. Oh, the coin. Actually, I already used the coin for its main purpose at the beginning, but now I mostly use it to scratch off the character profile, so there's that. Hi Ender, hello Emmer, and hello Leilu. Welcome in. But yes, so we're going to continue. So this little part, we're still in chapter 1. Alright, so the unsealing, October 19th, 1925. I never spoke of the professor's violations. University regulations demanded strict approval processes for external specimens, dual supervision by senior faculty to ensure safety and research value, yet she'd bypassed it all, handling these Antarctic samples alone. Perhaps this explained her insistence on an independent lab. She was never one for academic bureaucracy, and Dean Sterling's interference only accelerated her separation from the system. As for why she circumvented protocols, I understood, in a way. That didn't mean I felt at ease. Today we began examining the Antarctic remains. At dawn, the professor gathered us in biohazard suits around the hexagonal ice casket. It loomed on the refrigeration platform like a prisoner awaiting final judgment after centuries. The metal coffin's surface was pitted with rust and hairline fractures, its edges worn, yet unnaturally sharp. Less a relic of human history, more something foreign, trapped in ice, waiting for us to foolishly wake it. Maybe it's that smell, playing tricks on me. The whole lab is suffused with an eerie stench of death. It's not just the typical scent of decaying flesh. No, this is something more complex, sickly sweet, yet far from the formaldehyde that usually fills the air here. It's as if metal and rotting flesh have undergone some unspeakable chemical reaction under extreme cold. The scent isn't overpowering, but it clings to the inside of your nose like it's alive, slowly seeping into your brain. Unsettling, yet impossible to shake off. Professor's voice cuts through the cold air. This is Mr. Galinder Amundsen, an Antarctic explorer. According to all available historical records, he had been diagnosed with severe pulmonary issues before his final expedition. Okay, I can't take it anymore with this music. Okay, it's over. I was like, this song is too much. It was like way too epic for what was happening, but okay, the song's over. Sheesh. She pauses, her gaze sweeping over all of us, her tone steady and deliberate. But I must remind you all, who whatever this body has gone through, the cause of death can only be recorded as unknown. What you are about to witness might shatter everything you know, both medically and physically. The room fell into dead silence, everyone holding their breath, my heart pounding in my chest. What would the cadaver, frozen for so long, look like? How much of it would remain intact? The coffin lid creaked open slowly, and a thick frozen mist poured out like some ghost that had been asleep for centuries, drifting through the air. The moment the frost within the coffin cleared, my stomach clenched and my hand instinctively covered my mouth. Dios mío, I cursed under my breath, desperately trying to steady my breath. Neil, don't puke here, damn it! A classmate muttered, clearly annoyed. If it hadn't been for the earlier experience of moving the coffin, I might have lost control as well. because that human body frozen at the bottom of the coffin. It was melting. Oh, thanks, camera. You can't really see it. I'll raise up the camera a little bit, but the top of the little flap says it was melting. So the camera is, like, confused. Okay. That's very helpful of it to zoom in. Look at that. That's great. Cool. Like a little pop-up book. The moment the coffin lid opened, a cold rush of air poured out like a tidal wave. Frost-laden mist rolled and spread, revealing a strange dark crimson. No, it was a chunk of flesh and bone, tightly pressed against the bottom of the coffin. It didn't look like a normal corpse. It seemed more like something that had been torn apart, crushed, and reshaped by an unknown force. It had gone through intense corrosion. It couldn't fully shed its biological traces, eventually frozen abruptly in this state. The skin had an unnatural, waxy transparency, as if it had been seared by extreme heat, then suddenly frozen, causing the outer tissue to crack and peel away. Beneath the shattered surface, veins and fascia faintly shifted. Some areas no longer followed the normal anatomy of the human body, but instead twisted and knotted like vines. The face had collapsed, the features blurred into a grotesque shape, the mouth open in an unnatural arc. But inside, the structure was gone. The teeth, tongue, soft palate, all the human tissue once belonging to the mouth had been corroded away, replaced by a semi-transparent dark gel as if it had melted into liquid and suddenly solidified in the moment of death. But this was no ordinary decay, no bloating, no rupturing, none of the expected liquefaction. The tissues remained dense, clinging together with an unspeakable vitality. This melting resembled something else entirely, a transmutation. The kind that defied biological limits, the kind that did not belong on this earth. The corpse's remaining right hand was frozen in an unnatural, struggling posture. Limbs were rigidly contorted, fingers curled upward in a grotesque arc, as if desperately grasping toward some unreachable entity in its final moments. "Hi, Iris!" Professor Romanova's voice cut through the silence. Her tone remained measured, yet carried undeniable gravity. "Gentlemen, we stand before the unknown, a frontier no human has ever crossed. What secrets the Antarctic auroras conceal, we can scarcely fathom." She paused, her gaze sweeping over each of us with quiet intensity, willing us to accept this reality. But true science exists to challenge these mysteries, to confront them, and ultimately to unveil their truths. Her eyes returned to the casket, calm yet burning with conviction. "Perhaps one day we'll stand beneath those very lights and unravel every enigma, but regardless, today marks a crucial beginning." The professor's words weren't meant to inspire, yet they carried an undeniable power. After a brief silence, my classmates began nodding, their expressions settling into quiet focus. I felt an unfamiliar warmth in my chest. The initial unease and fear towards Mr. Galinder Amundson's remains fading, replaced by crystalline clarity and something resembling admiration. Perhaps this was what true scientists looked like. Those who could walk unwavering towards truth's dark veils, armed only with reason and courage. After meticulous preliminary work, we completed basic analysis of smaller tissue samples. I compiled the professor's approved research outline. Research on polar environmental extremes and the potential for aurora-induced cancer remission. Preliminary draft. Number 1. Structural changes in terminal phase. The remains exhibit distinct non-uniform dissolution, widespread collapse, and deformation of skeletal/muscular tissues. Hypothesis. Prolonged exposure to Antarctic extremes and auroras may trigger abnormal cellular breakdown and reorganization. Exact mechanisms remain unclear. Further experimentation required. 2. Anomalous tumor eradication. Deceased was diagnosed with advanced pulmonary carcinoma, yet autopsy revealed complete absence of cancerous cells, inconsistent with medical norms. Malignant cells should necrotize post-mortem, not vanish. Postulation. Auroras may induce unknown cellular responses that eliminate or degrade carcinoma. 3. Absence of detectable radiation. No residual radiation within known spectral ranges. Tissue samples lack characteristic ionization patterns or conventional energy signatures. Implication. Aurora-induced transformations may operate via undiscovered physiomedical principles beyond current scientific paradigms. The aforementioned research conclusions remain at the stage of preliminary speculation. It is essential to further apply for proposal approval from the medical school to ensure the safety and standardization of the experiment. Additionally, there is an urgent need to acquire a larger number of samples in order to accurately assess the research value and feasibility of these phenomena. We hope to secure the proposal approval from the medical school at the earliest opportunity, as well as further support for research funding. Okay, took a sip of my tea. All right. So we have a thing here with, I guess, the skeleton skull has a distinct fracture on right parietal bone with edges curled outward. Multiple irregular bestial spurs, 2.5 to 7.6 centimeters in length, protruding along fracture margin. Thoracic cage. Ribs demonstrate helical torsion from costosternal junctions. Creates unnatural blooming deformity resembling internal explosive force. Sternum displays central depression 2.5 centimeters in depth and cortical thickening up to 1.8 centimeters with outward flaring. The vertebrae. The entire spinal column exhibits abnormal posterior C-shaped curvature. Vertebral bodies show fusion with distorted interlocking surfaces. Multiple osteophytic growths, 2 to 4.1 centimeters in diameter, are along the spinous processes. Now, that's a little creepy. Is the aurora truly as pure and beautiful as we imagine? Ooh, look, that aurora looks like a skull. Beneath the Antarctic polar night, it manifests an otherworldly glow, a luminous rift between dimensions. Greens, purples, and eerie blues intertwine and pulse across the sky with unsettling sentience, gazing down upon the frozen wasteland and the insignificant humans below. But what is the aurora? Modern science claims it's merely solar particles colliding with Earth's magnetic field, yet its intensity fluctuations, anomalous hues, and potential biological effects remain unexplained. Ancient cultures revered it as a manifestation of divine power. Now we chase it for romance and wonder. But what if this is just humanity's comforting delusion? I pored over the expedition logs, trying to capture its colors on paper, yet as my brush moved, my thoughts drifted. Are we so certain it's just a natural phenomenon? Could it harbor some deeper energy, attempting unknown communication with Earth? Hi, Palu! If its rays can penetrate our atmosphere and alter living tissue, might it hold power to rewrite life itself, even heal what medicine deems incurable? Antarctica remains largely unexplored after mere decades of human presence. What secrets lie buried in its depths? And in my heart a quiet yearning grows, to one day stand on that frozen continent, beneath infinite stars, and witness that indescribable radiance myself. A bizarre death recently occurred in the old laboratory building, a sophomore from my east dorm. Though his room is now sealed, every time I pass by, an icy prickling crawls down my spine. Rumors say he went searching for the Fingerbone Man before disappearing. At first it was just Dinson's campfire tale, something I dismissed as student nonsense. But when a life is lost, even the wildest details take on grim weight. Witnesses last saw him that evening, standing motionless outside the underground chemical storage, head bowed as if listening to the locked iron door. Passers-by caught fragments of his whispers, though no one dared approach or confirm who he was speaking to. His body was found the next morning. The administration swiftly ruled it an accidental, broken neck from a fall. Neat. Tidy. But here's the flaw. There are no stairs near that storage room, just a narrow, shadow-cloaked hallway with a flickering overhead lamp, its trembling light warping the floor as if something lurked there, breathing. Suddenly, I remember that night in the lab building, the endless shadows at the corridor's end, the sensation of being watched. Had I looked closer, what might I have seen? Do you think there's really something out there? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Tong Kwok Quen set down his book, regarding me with that infuriating half-smile. What's this? Our southern gentleman starting to believe in ghost stories now? I shot him a glare, but remained silent. To my surprise, he didn't press further. Instead, he pulled several yellow talismans from his drawer and began methodically affixing them to our doorframe. Though his movements appeared casual, I caught the uncharacteristic wariness in his eyes. You Westerners always trust what your eyes see. His voice was calm as his gaze met mine. But some things are better left unseen forever. I stared at those cryptic papers now lining our doorway. The unease in my chest didn't fade. Maybe I should buy that campus newspaper after all. See what they're really saying. And here is an emergency event. Right, so it's time to roll the fracture die. So I'm going to cast the fracture dice, the judgment conditions. I'm comparing the number of sanity symbols, which are the stars, versus the circle symbols, which are madness. So something's gonna happen. If they're equal, then I get to choose. Okay, so there are 2 stars and, well, does this... Okay, I'm not sure because technically I see 2 circles because it's a circle within another circle. But I don't know if that counts. Hang on, let me check. Let me get the rule book. I'm not sure if that counts. Move in. Rule book is over here, so I have to lean over a little bit. Alright. I need to make sure. No, it's the solid circles. Okay. So I have more stars than circles. That means I have more sanity than madness, which I think is a good thing. I'm going to hope is a good thing. Alright, so that means I get to turn to page 79. Just going to see how it goes. Turn the page. Calm retrospection. I found last week's edition in the library archives. The pages felt damp, probably from the recent rains. With that musty, unpleasant smell. Still fresh enough, though. I flipped straight to the student disappearance article, eyes scanning the crisp black print. Then I froze. The text was moving. Not my imagination. At first, just a slight blur, like ink not fully dried. Then, letters shifting, rearranging themselves into nonsensical words. I leaned closer, squinting at the warping sentences when the words melted into tiny insects, black inky bodies squirming over each other. My breath hitched. A dull throbbing started at my temples, but I couldn't look away, couldn't pull my fingers back. The creatures oozed from the page, crawled over my fingertips, thin tendrils of ink winding up my wrist like, Dios mío! I flung the newspaper away. Damn it. Hallucinations. Just exhaustion. I thought I got the... What? My sanity was higher than my madness. What? And I hallucinate. Hate when that happens. Me too. Yeah, I would think that it's better to have more sanity, and yet that still happens, so dang. Alright, narrative artifact archive. Alright, so I got... What? I lost sanity! That's messed up. I lost sanity. So actually, madness being higher than sanity was better. That stings. What the heck? Alright, so I lose 4 sanity, which, as a reminder, if my sanity ever drops to 0, I lose, I die. But yeah, so first we're gonna drop my sanity. It was at 69, so now it's at 65. So I've got 65 sanity now. Great. But I do get an artifact, narrative artifact number 4. So, yeah. So this is, try to ignore this page because this is what the other result was, but probably by the time I play this again, I will forget. I have Not very many brain cells after all. Okay, so it's number... Narrative artifacts. I wish they were labeled on this sheet. They're not. Okay, so I need the one that says it has a little castle. The old Wickham house. Okay. Looks like that one. Okay. I'm gonna go stick this to the trophy board real quick. Oh, which one? Number 4. It's very satisfying to put them on the board, though. It's fun. Cool, neat. Alright, so another one get. Yeah, so I will have to play this game multiple times to get everything, because as you can see, the other choice has the other item, so can't even get it on this run. Okay. Here we go. So now we turn to page 84. Continue. Let me roll my chair in a little bit and take another couple of bites of my protein Pop-Tart. Oh, I should have toasted it. Oh, so I would have lost sanity either way. Which newspaper? Okay. So this is the artifact that I just got. I did want us to take a moment to look at it. This is pretty neat. So it's an actual little folded up artifact here. So it's the Miskatonic Register. But yeah, it's from, a week ago. Century ago, the house saw a massacre. The master, 5 children, and several servants were all killed in one night. Only Walter de la Poire, the 3rd son, survived. He offered no defense and left no claim. He left only a few ravings, then departed for North America. Silence followed. Now I return to this ruin, trying to piece together its shape. Under every stone, the old questions stir. One portrait still hangs, showcasing what is left of a young girl's face. In every shadow, I see her eyes. Shadows return to the old Icombe house. Icombe. I'm gonna say Icombe. That sounds fancy. A local tragedy in the night no one answers for. Now known locally as the old Icombe house, the building stands silent at the forest's edge in northwest Arkham. Moss creeps through its brickwork. Boarded windows deny it light. The pointed rooftops still bear the Gothic look. Exposed beams and a crumbling interior whisper of older origins. The tragedy made it a local taboo. Some whisper its name, the Weeping House. Two minds, one being. 2 heads shared one body, one fate between them. In the Middle Age, churchmen argued over their souls. If one was baptized, was the other saved or damned? Doctrine cleaved what flesh could not. Locked in the same cage of bone, their fates were split by ritual. One face turned toward heaven, the other sinking down. Men stared at these deformed miracles and saw God's hand slip. They glimpsed the absurdity stitched into creation. Storm Lions versus Thunder Bison, the final clash at Miskatonic Field. The stadium will roar this Friday. Reigning champions Thunder Bison clash with the upstart Storm Lions in a match whispered about in dining halls. Thunder Bison play with brutal precision. They are a team honed by tradition and unapologetic violence. Storm Lions are hungry and clever. Their semifinals victory left the Eagle team in ruins through plays unseen outside a war manual. 2 beasts meet on one field. Only one survives the storm next Friday. Lost Artifacts of Miskatonic, A Sanctuary or a Shadow. I have, by Arthur S. Turn, library student assistant. I have my doubts. Is this library truly a sanctuary of reason? Last Tuesday, while sorting through dust-covered manuscripts, I stumbled upon a worn ledger from 1870. It wasn't a standard catalog. It was a list of oddities, forgotten when they moved things up from the museum basement. The header read, unfit for public display, but that was 50 years ago. I decided it was time to break a few rules. The list mentioned a golden diadem similar to the one in the museum collections. There was an ashen compass that only points towards the cemetery, supposedly for tracking occult treasures, but the Purin's cross caught my eye. The ledger claims early New England healers used this relic to sever unnatural connections. The head librarian denies the existence of any relic room. They deny the restricted section too. The ledger was confiscated before I could read more. But ask yourself this: why are certain parts of this library always kept behind cold iron gates? Then here is the article that he was reading. The Fingerbone Incident. This Monday, a sophomore from the East Dormitories died in the old laboratory building. The administration called it an accident, a fall, a broken neck, but they found his body outside the door to the basement storage room. Records show the building had swallowed a research assistant once, 1879. All they found was a finger bone with a ring still on it. It sat locked away now in the 333W Hoyt Administrative Building. Days before, students heard the dead boy mention a name in the campus dining hall, the Fingerbone Man. Afterward, they remembered. He had tried to get into the basement before. The night it happened, someone saw him standing alone before that door, just standing, staring at the iron for a long time. There were no cameras down there, but over the years, students reported things, locks that kept coming undone, trays moved on their own. Cleaning logs mentioned fingerprints that would not wipe away. The university made no statement about the Fingerbone Man. They said only that night patrols would increase, to prevent another student from wandering where he should not. Important whispers. Editor's note. Students are advised not to enter the restricted zone. Anonymous witness. He was just standing there, like he was listening to someone. And then facilities worker. That hatch in the old school building, it never stays nailed down. Okay. And then there's like some stuff about Miskatonic, but I think it's just sort of some nice flavor text. Founded in 1690. Okay. So yeah. So we got that officially. I'll add that to the side where I put all the stuff that we did actually get. Okay, so now we move forward to October 21st, 1925. Today, I marked a milestone. Our research proposal was approved, and I officially became part of Professor Romanova's team. Our objectives were clear. Sorry, me. 1. Replicate the unique tissue conditions of Gelinder Amundsen's remains. Simulate Antarctic extreme low temperature environments, and reproduce aurora-specific radiation patterns. I was assigned the critical task of observing cancer cell behavior under these simulated conditions. Initial results were promising, until the cells began multiplying at an alarming, unnatural rate. When I handed the data to the professor, unease prickled at me. Hyperproliferation. She flipped through the reports, then met my gaze, like lemmings racing toward a cliff, thriving yet accelerating toward their own demise. Professor, I ventured, could Amundsen's unique pathology be skewing the result? Shouldn't we analyze his tissue samples further first? She arched an eyebrow, almost amused by my caution, then laughed, bright and fearless. Rodrigo, I admire your thoroughness, but science's true magic lies in daring to face the unknown. That spark in her eyes was contagious. My doubts began to fade. Maybe she was right. So now we have like a page that just sort of has their research, so it opens out. That. So lung cancer cells, they tried the polar extreme temperature conditions, breast cancer cells in the polar aurora radiation exposure, and then the bone cancer cells, polar extreme temperature conditions. So the experimental, just the control group, was like proliferated as expected. And then the lung cancer cell, cellular structure gradually collapsed. Division rates surged to 4 times normal levels. Pseudopod-like protrusions emerged at the edges, fusing together like primitive organisms, attempting connection. Interesting. B was the breast cancer cells, where they did the aurora radiation exposure. Complete loss of controlled reproduction patterns. Cells arranged in multi-layered helical formations. Cellular boundaries blurred. Emergence of nonlinear division phenomena. And then C, with the bone cancer cells, which we also did the temperature conditions. Proliferation rate slowed, but failed to enter expected death phase. Cellular membranes began dissolving. Tissues merged into strange symbiotic networks of unknown structure. Conclusion. The cell growth remains deeply aberrant. Beyond their abnormal proliferation rate, they seem capable of thriving in any environment, only to abruptly die off. Under specific conditions, the tissue exhibits biologically impossible behaviors. Individual cells cease to function as discrete units. Instead, they reach for one another, attempting to link, reorganize, even fuse, as if forming some higher-order structure. Yet when clustered beyond a critical mass, consumption begins. Collapse. Patterns of dissolution that defy all known biological models. This may explain how Gelinder and Munson's cancer vanished. Right, so going ahead to October 23rd, 1925. The Conjoined Goat. Hi, Atomic! Today was an anatomy lecture, Dean Sterling's first public demonstration in months. It began brilliantly. The Dean analyzed cutting-edge surgical techniques, sterilization protocols, antimicrobial strategies, post-operative care. His precise methodology kept us enthralled for hours, until they wheeled in the final specimen. The classroom fell silent. A pair of conjoined goat carcasses, if they could still be called goats. The wretched thing was hairless, just shriveled, sickly, pink flesh stretched taut, like it had been dipped in acid. Two sets of clouded eyes bulged upward, forever frozen mid-scream. But the worst part, their spines had fused, twisted together in a grotesque helix of muscle and bone, as if some unseen force had wrenched them into one. Leave that there for a second while I take another sip of my tea and have another bite of my protein thing. I just need to shake my tea up. I've had this tea before and it usually tastes good, but I don't like the way it tasted. Okay. Someone, well, let me finish my pipe. Ooh, and then I have to make a choice. Alright. Someone gagged. My own stomach lurched. Yet all I could think of was Gelinder and Munson, the same molten distortion, that same unnatural reshaping. The air in the lecture hall turned to ice. Dean Sterling paid no heed to our horrified expressions. His voice remained clinical as ever. This specimen was recovered from a farm on Arkham's outskirts, no more than 10 years deceased. A pause. While rare, such pathological deformities are not unprecedented. I looked up, just as his piercing gaze swept over our section. A chill crawled down my spine. Was this a warning? That science should recognize limits? That some frontiers weren't meant to be crossed? But should they be avoided? A quiet defiance stirred in me. If forces exist that can warp flesh and defy knowledge, shouldn't we study them more intensely? To halt from fear. Isn't that the true betrayal of science? Alright, so we unlocked another piece of the character profiles. So this is Isaiah Sterling, number 1. Hi, Viper! Time for our scratch off. Alright. There is a choice. The world is no longer as it seemed. What do you choose to believe? Whether you side with Sterling or side with Romanova. So if you side with Sterling, some knowledge must remain forbidden. If you side with Romanova, to explore the unknown is science's true purpose. So I'm going to do a poll, so y'all can choose, and I'm going to sort of let this guide my gameplay. Like, do y'all want to see, which side? And then from there, when I have the opportunity, I'll keep with this choice. So that way we don't do polls over and over and over. Let's see. Okay. So I'll let y'all choose between Sterling and Romanova. So again, Sterling is the idea that some forbidden knowledge needs to stay that way. It's forbidden for a reason. But if we side with Romanova, then we're saying, no. Science is all about exploring the unknown and seeking truth and all that stuff. Or I should have said that Sterling is erudite and Romanova is chaos, because I do get a mark one way or the other. Ooh, nobody's voted yet. Oof. I know some of you might just be here for the ride and it doesn't matter to you. I'm gonna get this dust into the little trash bin. Okay. It's like y'all want to pursue danger. Right. Both kind of sad options. Open the floodgates, yeah. They're both a little scary. Okay. Alright. My chair in without hitting the tripod. Okay. I have a very precarious, like... I kind of agree with both, but yes. I mean, that's why it's a choice, right? Okay, so the piece that we got about him is that he's the dean. He was born in 1872 in New Orleans, and he speaks English, or well, the languages he knows are English and Latin. Okay. So let's put those back over here. Oh, I very thoroughly scratched off the Dean's one, because I would just notice for the other two of the other characters I didn't scratch it off quite so thoroughly. Alright, so I gain the Mark of Chaos. Alright, well, now I need to get my little marks board. And one of the marks of chaos has been filled in. Better the mark of Cain or the mark of Mark? Right, so we got to the mark of chaos. Okie dokie, here we go. Alright, October 24th. Still. That afternoon, I went to the professor's office to discuss the latest experimental data. Professor Romanova seemed distracted, her desk buried under stacks of research files and loose reports. When she noticed me, she quickly closed the folder in her hands. Ah, you're here. She removed her glasses, rubbing her temples with visible exhaustion. Professor, is everything still on track? I asked cautiously. She forced a smile. Oh, sorry. Chairs. Oh, goodness. There we go. She forced a smile, though it never reached her eyes. Sterling still refuses to approve additional funding, but that's irrelevant. I've begun negotiations with pharmaceutical firms and private investors. Sorry, I think a little crumb went down the wrong way. Alright, muted so you don't have to hear me, like, coughing up. Alright, hang on. Today we assemble the Council of Marks, which from here onward shall be called the March. That's funny. Alright, yeah, some more. But I guess what's important is after I have a bite, I need to take a sip of my tea, because the little crumbs get... What? If all goes well, we may even secure an Antarctic expedition. I knew she and Dean Sterling had ideological differences, but an actual trip to Antarctica, that would be a game changer for the lab. That's incredible. I couldn't hide my excitement. If this succeeds, we could revolutionize cancer treatment. For a brief moment, her gaze flickered with something like hope, then dimmed just as quickly. She turned to the window, murmuring almost to herself, "Yes, let's hope it unfolds as planned." There was an unease in her voice, something unspoken lurking beneath. This wasn't a matter for a student to pry into. I took my leave shortly after. Back in the dorm, I couldn't help but share the news with Tong. I genuinely wanted the experiments to succeed. He lounged lazily on his bed, idly spinning his prayer beads as I recounted the professor's situation, hoping for his perspective. Tong's eyebrow arched slightly, his lips curling into that familiar smirk. Sounds ideal. The professor's finally wised up. Seeking outside help means less dancing to Sterling's tune. But why wouldn't the dean support Antarctic research? It's groundbreaking, I pressed. His fingers stilled on the bead for just a second before resuming their rhythm. Ever considered, maybe the school sees the value, but some things aren't worth funding? His tone dipped, something unreadable flashing in his eyes. What's that supposed to mean? He waved me off. Nothing for a lab assistant to lose sleep over. Then, with deliberate levity, relax, scientist. Keep frowning like that and you'll age into Sterling. The town's staging La Traviata, far prettier than your petri dishes. I scoffed, but he wasn't entirely wrong. A distraction might do me some good, so I took his advice, bought a ticket for Sunday's matinee. La Traviata. Oof. Interesting choice. This was my first live opera. The moment the theater lights dimmed, an indescribable mix of anticipation and unease tightened in my chest. The overture began, soft as distant waves, then swelled into a flood of sound and emotion as the curtain rose, utterly overwhelming me. Tonight's performance came from Aldebaran Echo, the opera troupe that had taken Miskatonic by storm. Elaborate classical sets, hazy golden lighting, and lingering melodies wove a dream-like illusion between reality and fantasy. The audience sat breathless, utterly transported. The soprano playing Violetta possessed an almost supernatural beauty. Her slender figure moved like a spirit in moonlight. When she sang, time itself seemed to pause. Her voice, pure yet aching with unspoken sorrow, carried depths of melancholy like ocean tides slowly breaking against every heart in the room. I'd never witnessed such conviction in performance. Her glistening eyes, the faint tremor of her lashes hiding genuine tears, the subtle quiver of her fingertips as if bearing unbearable pain. How can you bear it if it's unbearable? Bearing unbearable pain. She wasn't merely performing, but bearing her soul. Every nuance tugged at the heart, making it impossible to look away. When the story climaxed, Violetta choosing love only to be cast aside by society, her voice wavered with a grief both profound and resolute. And then, inexplicably, her gaze pierced through the stage lights and crowd, locking directly onto mine. My heart skipped. Those clear, depthless eyes held a sorrow and tenderness that felt, for one suspended moment, less like a stranger's glance and more like a reunion across time. The music faded. The theater erupted in applause, yet I remained motionless, staring at the darkened stage, still caught in that fleeting connection. After the show, I bought a vinyl recording of La Traviata. Now, as I carefully lowered the needle, her voice rose again in the quiet dark. Perhaps tonight I would let her song carry me into sleep. I am not going to try to read the Italian because I know there's no way I'm going to get it right, but I'll read they had a little translation. So, all in this world that brings no joy is folly. Let us revel. Love's delight is fleeting, swift. A flower blooms and dies, never to be cherished again. Such is my fate. I wrote down these 4 lines. For reasons unknown, I couldn't forget her. We're getting pretty close to the end, it looked like, of chapter 1. My father used to say, when a woman lingers in your mind, the only thing to do is find her again. Italians call this state infissa, obsession. I never paid it much mind before. Now, I thought I understood. But how could I see her again? November 2nd, 1925. The Strange Antarctic Research Team. Today, a small disagreement arose between Professor Romanova and me. While organizing experimental data, I stumbled upon a glaring inconsistency. Our core hypothesis states that aurora radiation caused the anomalous mutations in Explorer Amundsen's remains. Yet my findings clearly show his body was discovered hundreds of kilometers outside known auroral zones. This defies scientific logic. I took my findings to Professor Romanova, who'd been more withdrawn and agitated than usual lately. When I voiced my concerns, she paused for only a few seconds before cutting me off sharply. Margin of error in Antarctic data is expected. Don't make a fuss over nothing. But Professor, I pressed, this discrepancy is way beyond acceptable limits. Shouldn't we at least verify? Her head snapped up. Those usually warm eyes turned glacial. Rodrigo, she said, each word like scalpel strokes. Real science requires patience and adaptability, not obsessing over meaningless numbers. I shut my mouth instantly. This wasn't the mentor I knew. There was something almost threatening in her tone. For the first time, I understood what my classmates meant about Romanova's dark moods. A cold unease settled in my gut. I couldn't calm down after returning to my dorm. That night, I went alone to Miskatonic University Library, hoping to find records of other research teams for reference. What I discovered shocked me. Miskatonic University had actually sent an Antarctic expedition 2 years prior, a well-equipped, large-scale operation. Yet the records were suspiciously blank. No member lists, no reports, no published findings. I asked the librarian for access. His wrinkled face tightened further. Mr. Ricci, he said politely but firmly, those materials are currently restricted. Standing among the dim shelves, questions piled up in my mind. What really happened to that expedition 2 years ago? And how much does the professor know? We have a sponsor. I was flipping through newspapers at the off-campus stand when hurried footsteps approached. Before I could turn, Neil nearly slammed an envelope into my chest. Rodrigo, look! He was breathless, words tumbling out. The Foundation replied. Is it funding? The professor will be thrilled. I glanced down, black stationery, a gilded emblem gleaming up at me. Slumbering Stars Foundation, a prestigious yet reclusive organization overflowing with both wealth and credibility. I had seen their card on the professor's desk days ago, placed just so, hopeful. I swallowed my excitement and clapped Neil's shoulder. This is it. Clutching the letter, I sprinted toward the lab. The professor needed to know. Now. Yet the moment I stepped into the laboratory building's icy corridor, I collided hard with a figure rushing toward me. Sorry, The apology died in my throat as I caught sight of his grin. Wrong, all wrong. The man wore a long black coat, his hat pulled so low it revealed only an unnaturally pale face. His lips twitched in a grotesque mimicry of speech, the expression caught between sick excitement and frayed nerves. His clouded eyes lacked focus, yet locked onto mine with unsettling precision, like he'd known me for years. "Ah, what luck!" His voice was sharp and laced with something horribly cheerful. "The letter arrived already." I stepped back, fingers tightening around the envelope. A cold, nameless dread crawled up my spine. Instead of answering, he advanced. Beneath the brim, his eyes gleamed with something unhinged. "Efficiency. Admirable. The professor will be pleased, no?" That laugh prickled my scalp. His left hand worried at an old gold coin, fingers twitching in compulsive, minute motions. His gaze, both vacant and razor-sharp, scanned my face like he was verifying some grotesque detail. It set my teeth on edge. Before I could speak, the figure retreated. Another hollow chuckle sliced through the hallway, echoing wrong. Then he turned, stiff as a marionette on invisible strings, and vanished into the shadows at the far end. I stood frozen, heart hammering. Who the hell was that guy? I'd never seen him before, and how the hell did he know about the letter? Maybe one of the professor's unusual academic contacts. Miskatonic University never ran short on oddities. I sucked in a sharp breath, forcing the encounter to the back of my mind. The professor would be waiting, impatient, eager for good news. No time to linger over some random lunatic. There's a sealed record, but I do not have the matching seal key, so we're just going to ignore this. Securing Antarctic funding. The sponsorship from the Slumbering Stars Foundation was far more generous than we'd anticipated. The funds arrived swiftly, undeniably good news. Yet, to my surprise, the professor didn't react with the elation I expected. Lately, she'd been steeped in some unspoken dread. The office grew heavier by the day. She'd sit at her desk, staring at the thick stack of signed sponsorship agreements in silence, her brow faintly furrowed. I had my doubts, but in the end I kept quiet. After all, the funding crisis was resolved. We were finally one step closer to that Antarctic expedition. But the Foundation's enthusiasm went beyond my wildest expectations. Not only did they provide a sum so lavish it bordered on absurd, but they also shipped in crates of cutting-edge equipment through a subsidiary called Hypnos Medical Instruments. Everything was pristine, unnervingly new, even specialized polar gear we hadn't requested, like they'd known we were heading south. What thrilled me, and unsettled me just a little, were the documents that came with it. Neatly packed in black cases, each sealed with wax, stamped in the Foundation's enigmatic insignia. The files contained polar research logs, aurora observation data, even ancient records of spontaneous cancer remissions and obscure medical anomalies. But what truly sent a chill down my spine were the handwritten notes, brittle, yellowed pages that felt ready to crumble at a touch. The faded script belonged to scholars or explorers long forgotten. Some of these documents might even be priceless historical originals. As I sorted through them, my unease grew. Why would a prestigious foundation pour such staggering resources into an obscure campus lab? Where did they unearth those rare manuscripts? Their enthusiasm. It felt excessive for a mere scientific curiosity. A knot of doubt tightened in my throat. But maybe I was overthinking it. To an organization like this, such investments might just be routine? Crimson House. The Foundation's generous funding finally allowed us to relocate to a brand new facility, a building ominously dubbed the Crimson House. According to the professor, she had specifically requested this space from the university. Though Dean Sterling remained cold and distant about our sudden sponsorship windfall, the administration seemed unusually invested. The professor insisted that with larger equipment on the way, having our own dedicated building would be essential. What truly surprised me, though, was the university's decision to host a gala in the Foundation's honor, an unprecedented gesture for 1925. Yet, when I finally stood before this so-called new laboratory building, an inexplicable unease crept over me. Brand new might be stretching the truth. This building had stood for at least half a century, surviving multiple renovations that had never quite scrubbed away the weight of its years. The deep crimson bricks carried a somber air, and the ivy crawling up its walls clung like some enormous living thing, giving off a strange, unsettling energy. Tucked away in a quiet corner of campus, it was far more spacious than our old lab, perfect for housing the new equipment. But rumors lingered. Whispers of past accidents, unlucky histories. Students called it the haunted house when they thought no one was listening. The moment we stepped inside, we all felt it. The temperature dropped sharply, the air thick with a chill that raised the hairs on your neck. The windows were spotless, yet the light that filtered through seemed weak, distorted, as if something unseen was drinking it in. Shadows. Shadows pooled where they shouldn't, and sometimes when I passed by, I could have sworn something watched us from just beyond the glass, silent and utterly without kindness. A classmate's sudden suggestion snapped me out of my dark thoughts. Since we're moving in, why not take a group photo by the entrance? It was standard Miskatonic tradition, snapping commemorative shots for every relocation, be it dorms, classrooms, or labs. Even the professor approved, her mood visibly lighter now that we'd shaken off the medical school's restraints. She scanned the group before giving my shoulder a hearty pat. Don't mind those silly rumors. We're here to uncover the unknown, not spread ghost stories. I laughed along, but the unease clung to me like a second skin. This place was too big, absurdly oversized for a research facility, and when we climbed the stairs, the echoes of footsteps always seemed to outnumber us, as if something unseen walked in perfect sync right behind us. I glanced up at the flickering bulb overhead, then instinctively touched the wall, only to recoil. The paint felt slick, almost alive, like the surface was seeping some warm, viscous liquid. Merda. Maybe I was being too sensitive. But right now, I suddenly didn't want that photo anymore. Investigators' action. Stand for the photograph? The Crimson House loomed before me, its namesake bricks glistening under the sun with an unsettling sheen, like fresh blood not yet dried. The icy corridors inside seemed to watch, something unseen tracking every step we took. My gut twisted harder. In the end, I listened to it, politely declined the photo, and slipped away down a side hall, or joined the photo. It was just a stupid photo, no big deal. The professor was in rare high spirits, the others buzzing about this fresh start. I didn't want to be the odd one out. I sucked in a breath, shoved down the creeping dread, and forced a grin. Then I walked straight toward the camera. I'm gonna do that one because we decided we're gonna go Rovanova style. So, into the unknown. Sure it's not gonna end well. The professor smiled and motioned for everyone to gather. The students crowded together eagerly. Behind the black camera drape, the photographer bent over his equipment, adjusting the lens. I glanced at him instinctively and felt an inexplicable unease creep up my spine. Before I could process it, the shutter clicked. Snap. And in that instant, something was ripped out of me. Not pain, not dizziness, just a sudden, hollow void. Like an invisible thread had been severed. My consciousness flickered, untethered from reality. I swayed slightly, catching myself just in time. Blinking, I looked around. Everyone was still there, the professor, my classmates, all standing exactly as before, their smiles easy and natural. But my chest felt like it was being crushed under lead. Each breath came harder than the last, the air thinning as if being siphoned away. My gaze dragged back to the photographer, and my breath stopped. That man wasn't the same one from before. Now, hidden beneath the black drape was another face, pale and twitching, its lips curled in that sickeningly familiar grin. Shadows swallowed most of his features, but the jagged scar across his cheek was unmistakable. I had seen him before, that grinning freak from the old lab corridor, the one who'd delivered the professor's letter. There he stood, casual as anything, fingers resting lightly on the camera, watching me with that same eerie delight. The sounds around me faded fast. My heartbeat stuttered. The pressure in my chest surged like icy fingers tightening around my throat, my lungs packed full of invisible gravel. I gasped uselessly, my ears ringing with shrill static, my vision blurring as reality itself peeled away. Just as I was about to black out, a searing of light tore through the hallucination. My eyes snapped open. Air rushed back into my lungs. Everything was normal again. The professor chatted idly with a colleague. Students milled about, and the photographer, just some ordinary guy with round glasses, checking the film with professional detachment. No grin, no scar. I stood, frozen, fingertips trembling, my spine slick with cold sweat. The terror clung to me, lodged deep in my throat like something I couldn't swallow. What the hell had I just seen? Now it's time to roll the dice. Fate's gamble. All right. That horrific experience has shaken your grip on reality. A soft voice from the dark invites you to wager your sanity. I can accept or I can refuse, actually. Okay. If I accept, I automatically lose 1 sanity. Otherwise, I can wager. I could lose none, or I could lose 2. All right, we gamba. We gamba here. Well, I rolled a 2, so gamba was a fail. So I lose 2 sanity. So I'm going down from 65 to 63. Sometimes we gamba and it goes well, and most of the time we gamba and it doesn't. All right. Fear eats at your core, lose 2 sanity. Okay, fine, I'll just fine. Doing okay, could be worse, could be better. Yeah, we're getting, feels like we're getting close to the end of this chapter. We'll see. 10 o'clock, or November 6th, 1925. 10 o'clock at night, night ripe with strangeness. The university had thrown a lavish banquet in our honor. Crystal chandeliers refracted soft light over clinking glasses, the murmur of conversations richer than the wine. This was an evening for investors and academics. Not for me. Time and again, eager hands pulled me aside, some probing how we'd won the Foundation's favor. Others cautiously asking if any representatives from Hypnos Medical Instruments would appear, but those affairs weren't my forte. So I slipped through the crowd, up the stairs to the second-floor terrace, letting the autumn chills steady my breath. The air out here was sharp, untouched by perfume or cigar smoke. Leaning against the cold stone railing, I gazed down at the quiet gardens, the distant violin notes still drifting up. Then I heard it. A voice. Low, murmuring, like waves lapping at moonlit sand, gentle, yet rhythmic. I turned towards the sound. There, beneath the rose trellis, bathed in silver light, a slender figure in white. Miss Catherine. Okay. She stood alone amidst the shadow of flowers. Ugh. Oh, I forgot to change it to the side view, because y'all are... Yeah. She stood alone amidst the shadow of flowers, her profile as serene and delicate as a sculpture. Oh yeah, so she's down there, and we're up there. That's Rodrigo. That's us. That's Catherine. She stood alone. Okay, hey, now you care about Catherine. It's the first time you've zoomed so much on a woman. I feel like it's trying to focus on Rodrigo and failing. That's kind of funny. Slightly tilting her head, lips parted, she sang an ancient, haunting hymn, soft and mysterious, as if praising the fathomless ocean or whispering devout prayers to some distant, unknown deity. For a moment, I could almost believe I was still in the theater that night, where the stage lights of La Traviata had danced, and she, center stage, held the entire audience captive with her voice. She was breathtaking. Certain she wouldn't welcome an intrusion, I retreated deeper into the terrace's shadows, holding my breath, listening. Yet as I thought myself unnoticed, her eyes opened, and her gaze, gentle yet piercing, found me unerringly through the dark. Her lips curved like a wisp of night breeze, her eyes glimmering with faint amusement. Her voice was soft, lingering, like a spirit murmuring to a lost traveler. "Won't you join me for a stroll? Mysterious spectator from the south." The mist thins, you glimpse a sliver of fate. Okay, so we've unlocked part 1 of Catherine's profile, which will be nice. That's everybody's part 1. Okay. Alright, so I have 1 mark of chaos. Maybe I'll do it this way. Put the board here, and then I'll put the characters on top there. Okay. Also, I'm gonna have another bite of my pastry. I'm gonna use the bookmark. Keep these pages together so that they stop, like, flipping open. Yeah, now we've unlocked everybody's first part of their profile. It's exciting. So she's not a nun, she's an opera singer. Hi, Taro! How you doing, Taro? She's supposed to be free speaking with a French accent. Unfortunately, I am not as good with French accents as Killer and L are, so I will spare you. I don't want to offend anybody. Oh, hi London! Thank you so much for the raid. Killer, could you do me a flavor? A flavor. Oh my god, I've turned into my mother! Oh my goodness, I've turned into my mother. Or maybe I'm so used to making fun of her that now I've said it. Oh no. Oh my god. No! I'm gonna have to tell her that this happened. She's gonna think it's so funny. Oh my god. I've become, you know what they say, live long enough to become just like your parents. Holy crap. I'll have to tell her that this happened. I'll be like, Mom, I said it on stream and somebody even clipped it. I asked somebody to do me a flavor unironically. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the raid though, London. Holy, London is a, well, I don't know if I want to say that London is a great flavor of person. I'm no cannibal. I only eat other birds that are not parrots, so I can't strictly be called a cannibal. Yeah. Saribot does the little clip. And then I can always edit it later. That's exciting. Oh. She's a soprano. Should have scratched a little bit more. There we go. Yes. But yes, thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's London. If you like hearing more about games, and the thing is, I really love about London's channel, and I'm always queuing up her videos in my to watch later for when I'm, you know, working on stuff, is that London really digs into more of like an analytical perspective, or maybe theoretical is the right word. I don't know. You just get into more of like the nuts and bolts of things in a way that I don't usually, and I think that's so cool. So yeah, everybody do the thing. Do the thing and follow the lovely London station. For those that don't know me, my name is Hime. I'm a parrot VTuber. If you want to be specific, I'm a Malabar parakeet. You have to forgive my voice today. I am also, when I'm not a parrot, I am a teacher, and school started this week, and I don't want to get too into it, but school has been, it's stressful. I'm not having a bad time. The kids are great. Like things are going as well as reasonably could be expected. It's just stressful for reasons outside of my control. So I'm just really tired. Last night, I got home from work at, about 5 o'clock or so, and I just like passed out and did not wake up again for several hours, and then went to bed super early. I just was so tired. And my throat is just like raw, basically, because I talk so much the first couple of days of school, because you normally, even if you are a lecture-based teacher, you only lecture maybe 20 or 30 minutes, right, out of the period. But this time I was talking almost the whole time because I have to explain class rules, and it's just like a lot. So just, I'm a little tired, but we're hanging in there. Yes, my throat is tired. So what do? A stream where I basically read a bunch. But you know what? I'm building it up. I'm building up the muscle. No, it's the end of hot burb summer. Yeah, hot burb summer ended last week, unfortunately. I was back to school last week for like my work week, and then this week the students actually are here now, so building out my routines and stuff now that school is back in session, and the DONOTHON has just become part of my life, Yeah, here we are. But yes, I normally stream solo TTRPGs. I'm going to be playing Fabula Ultima tomorrow, solo Fabula Ultima. And I build and paint miniatures. I play some, cozy video games sometimes, and I've gotten into Grand Archive recently. I'm gonna try hard to get a stream with Lacey where we play, or with other friends as well, because I know I've got several members of the community that have also gotten into it, and I think it might be fun to get together and try to play the game and show people. Our school starts teacher stuff next week and kids the following week. Yeah, I think that's common for a lot of other districts. I'm not really sure why the heck my district starts so early. But it's okay. We're getting there. I should pull up your Fabu when I'm doing house projects. Oh, you could, yeah. I'll be doing that tomorrow. We're starting the next character's like individual chapter, so we'll see how that goes. I spent a lot of time listening to Burbcore when I was painting rooms and working on floors and stuff. We start late because of farming. Yeah. Listen, I live in Texas. Don't you think we have farms here too? I don't understand. I don't understand. We used to start later. I remember we used to start like the last or second to last week in August, or a lot of times my birthday, which is the 19th, would be the first day of school. You know? Do you have oil in Texas? We have a lot of oil in Texas. It's kind of a thing. I don't know how much of it we have left. Okay. What was I doing? Oh yeah, so we scratched off Catherine's first info, just baiting you to say it. You just want to hear me say oil. I understand. What? What is it, Killer Flame? Well, our district is solely farms. Okay, fair enough. I do live in an urban area of Texas. I do switch between the pronunciations. I code switch a lot, so sometimes, depending on who I'm with, I can say oil. It just doesn't sound right. Oil. I'm getting my oil changed. I'm cooking with some olive oil. I don't know, it just... Oil just sounds better. When you say oil, it sounds like it has 2 syllables. Well, that's not right. How can you have 2 syllables? It's a 3-letter word. Doesn't oil just make more sense? Oil. It just sounds so unnatural. I'm sorry. My sister is a pre-K, like, early development teacher. She started this week. Okay, cool. Your sister's in the trenches with me then. All right. So yeah, I thought this was a nun. It turns out Catherine is the soprano from the opera, but there's something going on. I don't know. I don't trust all those tentacles in the background there. And she and Rodrigo had a moment of, like, eye contact in the theater. They are very cute together. I still kind of ship Rodrigo with Tong, though. Either way, he's with a purple person. The thing is, right, Catherine's symbol is like a skull with, like, stuff coming out of it, so I don't know. I just feel like she's probably not up to any good. Tentacles are super trustworthy. What do you mean? I don't know, man. But yeah, so for those of you just coming in, we are playing this game called Abyss Echo, which is a... I struggle to explain what this is, but it is a... Oh... It's like a choose-your-own-adventure story mixed with a board game, mixed with a TTRPG. So it's, there's a story, I get to make choices, and some of the choices I have to roll a die, and then I have my sanity stat that goes up and down, so there's some, you know... I can't fully call it a board game, but I also can't fully call it a TTRPG, but I also can't just call it a choose-your-own-adventure novel. I don't know, it's an interactive... narrative experience, I guess. So that's what we're doing. On Twitch, I have it marked as a tabletop role-playing game because I just feel like out of all those things, that's the best way to explain it. But you know. All right, so we're gonna continue. Miss Catherine explained she'd been invited to sing at this charity banquet. After her performance, she'd wanted to tour Miskatonic University, only she wasn't familiar with the campus. I rarely leave the troupe, she said, tilting her head slightly. Her gaze drifted across the gardens, her voice as light and elusive as midnight wind through the courtyard. After each show, we're either rushing to the next city or trapped in endless rehearsals. These fleeting moments in strange places, they hold their own charm. She paused, then looked back at me, her smile deliberate. So, Mr. Spectator, might you guide me? For a moment, I couldn't speak. Seeing her on stage earlier had felt like a wish granted. Now, standing beneath the roses, her white dress swaying in the night wind, moonlight dusting her shoulders and hair like silver. For that suspended second, I could almost believe some god had heard my longing and arranged this meeting. I should seize this opportunity, say something refined at the very least, and not stumble like some bumbling scholar clumsily stringing together phrases. But when she lifted her eyes to meet mine again, all words seemed superfluous and hollow. My lips parted slightly as fragments of poetry and Italian proverbs flashed through my mind, only to leave nothing but silence. In the end, my tongue betrayed me. My lady, wherever you wish to go, I would be honored to guide you. She cast me a sidelong glance as if finally confirming something. Then she laughed softly, her smile neither the polished performance from the stage nor the polite, distant courtesy of social gatherings, but something genuine and effortless, tinged with gentle indulgence and the faintest hint of amusement, as though permitting me to draw near, yet also relishing this subtle victory. Truly, she was impossible to resist. "I'd love to see that legendary crown." Her voice was soft and elegant, part request, part subtle command. "Since you're my only audience tonight, might I trouble you for directions?" She meant the golden diadem housed in the University Museum, that much-celebrated artifact shrouded in lore. I had no reason to refuse. We left the banquet's clamor behind, stepping onto tree-lined paths swallowed by night. An autumn wind slipped through the gaps in ancient buildings, carrying the river's damp whisper, as if darkness were slowly digesting the campus whole. With a clear destination, our conversation flowed easier. Catherine's voice stayed melodious, every sentence rhythmic. We spoke of Miskatonic's architecture, her troops' performances, historic sculptures, and the Aldebaran Echo Opera's artistic philosophy. She described music's power over the human heart. I shared amusing lab anecdotes. "Miskatonic University's library must house quite a few precious European classical scores?" she asked suddenly, her voice tinged with longing. "Indeed," I replied with a smile, "though you'd need to request permission from the archivist first." "Have you ever seen them yourself?" She tilted her head slightly to study me. "Rarely," I admitted honestly. "My understanding of music extends only to appreciation, at best." "It's time for a family call. Wishing you an excellent stram." "Thanks, killer. I'll see you later." Oh, it's more. She smiled gently. "That's already more than most can claim." Oops. Her voice grew quieter, gaze drifting into the distance as if caught in memory. After a few more steps, she turned her head casually and remarked, "When I was a child, I almost never had opportunities like this, to chat freely with someone." "Why?" The question escaped me before I could stop it. "I was an orphan," she shrugged, her tone devoid of self-pity. "I'd been with the troop since before I could remember. The people were kind enough, the teachers patient and thorough, but—" A slight pause, then a faint smile touched her lips. "A traveling troupe never stays put. Everyone's just passing through each other's lives." She slowed her pace slightly. "So to be strolling like this tonight, talking freely, it's rather novel for me." I found myself at a loss for words. She had simply shared an unembellished fragment of her past, yet, inexplicably, it stirred something deep within me. Yet, regrettably, we reached our destination too soon. The golden diadem rested silently in its museum case, bathed in light that cast an alluring sheen across its surface, a sheen that seemed to hold the dark hues of distant ocean depths. Intricate, unreadable patterns adorned it, beautiful yet unnervingly ancient, always carrying an air of inexplicable strangeness beneath its splendor. Catherine stood before the display, her gaze fixed on the diadem with quiet intensity. I thought to take my leave. My guiding duties were complete after all. But just as I turned to go, her voice, soft yet deliberate, stopped me. She still studied the artifact, but a trace of elegant mischief now played at the corners of her lips. You haven't told me your name yet, my guide." Her eyes, reflecting the display lights through the glass, met mine, blue and shimmering like sunlight through ocean waves, holding me captive. Then, with a pause that felt deliberate, she added, "If I were to visit Miskatonic University yet, how might I find you?" The question came with a light smile, her eyes alight with playful expectation, that perfect, irresistible blend of charm and cunning. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. This might have been the most poignant, most delicate moment of my life. My peripheral vision caught the golden diadem, said to be over a century old, resting silently in its glass case, its obscure, intricate patterns made even more enigmatic under the light. I'd always found it unnervingly symmetrical, unnaturally refined, as if born of some long-lost civilization. But tonight, right now, through the reflection in the glass, I saw something else entirely. Oh, bye, Woven! Got to lurk, got to finish setting up cat outside house, including cutting a cat door. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Best of luck. Through the reflection in the glass, I saw something else entirely. The diadem's silhouette warped slightly, and for a fleeting instant it seemed to sit upon Miss Catherine's head. And the most unbelievable part, that ornate, eerie crown looked as though it had always belonged there, a fit so perfect it chilled me to the core. Okay. So you can see it. That's cool. It's a little scary. Night had deepened. A thin, ghostly mist enveloped Miskatonic University, draping the campus in a haze between waking and dreaming. The street lamps' amber glow struggled through the fog, casting wavering, uncertain light onto the damp cobblestones. In the distance, the clock tower stood silent and solemn, while the night wind wove through ancient buildings, murmuring like some distant, secret summons. Catherine stood beside me, her skirt swaying gently in the breeze. She tilted her head slightly, as if listening to the night's wordless sigh. The ease of our conversation still lingered between us, light and natural, like the unspoken understanding between old friends. "Tonight was unexpectedly lovely," she said softly, a contented smile touching her lips. I turned to look at her, an indescribable calm settling in my chest. The banquet's noise, my unfinished experiments, even the mysteries haunting me, all seemed trivial now. There was only the tender night, the cool autumn air, and her quiet, luminous presence. Then, almost unconsciously, she lifted her hand, her fingertips barely grazing my palm. And in that instant, the fog before me surged, the once still sky twisted as if stirred by an invisible hand, stars and clouds contorting into impossible shapes. My breath caught. A primal warning shot down my spine. Something was coming. And then also, I just realized I forgot to open fishing and the RPG. So let me do that really quick. Then I think something is about to happen. The wheels of fate are turning. The laws of reality begin to fray. The fog before you writhes, at first just shifting vapor, then coiling. Then coiling, twisting, congealing into something wrong. It has no face, no true form, yet its presence presses against your skin like the weight of a deep ocean currents. You stagger back, collar damp with sudden sweat. It watches you, the way abyssal darkness watches a drowning man. Sorry, the white font is kind of like eaten into by the black ink, and so it's kind of hard to read some of the letters sometimes. You whirl towards Catherine, only to freeze in horror. She stands petrified, her dress mid-sway, eyes unblinking. The night itself has stalled, trees unmoving, lamplight static. Time has peeled away, leaving only suffocating stillness. Good news, the monstrosity doesn't attack. It merely undulates before you, a patient predator. Bad news, you know this place isn't right. Your sanity is leeching away by the second. Here, time grinds differently. Every moment spent is a step closer to being erased. Fur 2, Adversary Card 1 for Combat Protocols. Okay. So... Combat initiated. Alright. So this is what we're gonna do. I think I need to take this out of the binder. Hang on, let me switch to the top-down view. And we gotta set some stuff up. For combat! There is combat, and which is why I also kind of feel like there's a little bit more TTRPG-ish. Okay. Combat card. I also get the bookmark, so I can bookmark this spot to come back to in a moment, because I'm going to close the binder. Here's this nice little holographic card. Okay. Alrighty. So here we go. There is the round limit is 5 rounds. Hit on page, off page, okay. So now I'm going to read the rulebook about combat, because I hadn't done that before, but now we're about to do it, so I guess I should. Okay. So this is the combat initiated. Normally there's supposed to be grids all over. I don't really see any grids on this one, but that's because it's supposed to be easier. So it looks like if I hit the page, I do 2 damage. If I don't hit the page, then something else happens. So it's cool. So combat, check. Physical landing points determine fate. Let me get to the... There are more stuff about combat. Where's that it? Face the fear, combat and adversary cards. During the exploration of the abyss, bloodshed and combat are unavoidable. Each thrilling encounter consists of 3 core elements: the attack dice, the monster field, and the unique adversary card. Please be aware that when you cast the fracture dice, they are far more than mere numerical generators. Starting from Chapter 2, the physical area where the dice eventually lands will trigger specific functions such as weak point strike. So here, again, it's just the page versus not the page, so we don't have to worry about that so much. Okay. Every monster lurking in the shadows has its own unique and chilling mechanics. These malicious mechanisms evolve and update as the story progresses. Therefore, for specific combat rules, carefully read the corresponding adversary card each time you face a deadly encounter. Combat survival protocols. In your first encounter, the fraction dice only determine the most basic attack. They deal fixed damage, and that's what we're doing as the first one. Eternal favor. As the investigation deepens, combat mechanics will become increasingly maddening. Okay, don't have to worry about that. If you roll the critical success symbol during combat, take a deep breath. Immediately restore 3 sanity and re-roll the dice. And that explodes, which is nice. Okay. Yes, that's all. That's all it says about combat. So, I have 5 rounds. Drop the die from 6 inches above the page. Entrust your fate to the fall. Okay. So the cool thing is the pen is, I believe they said the pen is exactly, yeah, the length of the pen is exactly 6 inches. So when you roll the die from a height of 6 inches, you just use the pen. All right. All right. Oopsie. Okay, so it has 12 HP. If I managed, so the nature of the crawling fog. Manifested mist entity existing beyond reality's edges. This is your first encounter. No counterattacks will occur during this battle. That's nice. Attack rules. On page is a standard hit. Deal 2 base damage. Off page is a grazing hit. No bonus damage. Deal 2 base damage plus 1 times... Does that mean sanity? I have 63 sanity. So am I going to do 63 sanity? It's like... So if I hit the page, do I... So is this just like a one-shot kill? As long as I hit the page? That doesn't sound right? Was it? Oh, no. It's the number of sanity, I think, on the dice when I hit the page. Okay, I see. That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, right. Because the dice have the symbol on it. Okay. So then, round limit. This battle is limited to 5 rounds. If the creature isn't defeated within 5 rounds, it dissipates into formless mist, while each passing second further erodes your mind. Win or lose. I will lose. While each passing... What does that mean? While each passing second further erodes your mind. Win or lose. If I lose... Oh, I see. If I lose, the sanity equals rounds times 2. Win or lose. Lose sanity equal to rounds times 2. So if I takes 5 rounds, I lose 10 sanity. So I lose sanity no matter what happens. But the sooner I kill it off, the less sanity I lose. Okay. It says 5 rounds or mission fails. Okay. Alright. So here we go. So this is the part that is really gamey that I think is neat. Where's the pen? Alright, so here's the pen. The game. Do you think Jumanji better fits into Lovecrafting horror or Portal fantasy? It feels more Portal fantasy to me. Alright, so here's the pen that came with the game. This beautiful wood pen was 6 inches. I mean, there's no way I'm gonna mess this up, right? Okay. So that's 4 stars. So I do 2 damage plus 4, so that's 6 damage. So I wish there was like a way I could help keep track of this a little bit better. Okay, I've done 6 damage to it. Um, 2 plus 1 is 3, so I've now done 9 damage to it. Then I've done 2 plus 4, 6. Okay, it's dead. Because I did 6 more damage, so 9 plus 6 is 14. It is dead. And it took me 3 rounds, so I lose 6 sanity total from it taking 3 rounds. Alright, so I defeated the thing. I still lose sanity, though, but not as much as it could have been. So I go from 63 sanity down to 57. So I've now dropped into nervous tension. Something gnaws at the edge of thought. Sleep forgets you. That's great. That's wonderful. Alright. Not too bad for my first go. Yeah, look at that. Look at that creepy thing. The card is holographic. It's neat. Ooh. Alright. We're gonna put this back in the binder. And continue. But yeah, again, I think we're almost at the end of chapter 1, so that's exciting. But I don't like the part where it was like, starting in chapter 2, they will counterattack. Yeah, that's okay. Well. Could you just not? Could you just not counterattack? Could you just let me go? That would be a little too convenient, I think. Okay. 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 Reality reasserts itself. In an instant, that stretched and distorted world snapped back, like a mirror pulled taut, finally shattering, only to reform into its original shape. I gasped, my lungs suddenly free from some deep-sea pressure. The cold, stinging air rushed back into my chest, the suffocating grip easing. Around me, the night mist still drifted lazily. The distant clock tower stood silent. Miskatonic's ancient buildings loomed as solemnly as ever. Everything was so normal, it made the horror before feel like a waking dream. But I knew better. My fingers still trembled. I forced my breathing steady, tilting my head up at the sky only to see something drifting down, turning lazily in the breeze, descending as if placed there by unseen hands. A sheet of paper? Instinctively, I reached out and caught it. A photograph, aged, yellowed. The scene froze my breath. The Crimson House, that group photo from days ago, taken in front of the new lab. I stared, thumb brushing the edge, the familiar building, the familiar faces. Everyone stood bathed in harsh sunlight, smiles bright. Professor Romanova at the center, beaming with hope as if this moment of harmony could last forever. Why? Why was this photo suddenly here? More importantly, had it really fallen from the sky just now? Or had it been sitting quietly in my pocket all along? I whipped my head toward Catherine. She still stood there, her skirts swaying gently in the breeze, head slightly tilted as if waiting for my response. Her expressions showed nothing, no confusion, no fear, not even a flicker of curiosity, as if none of it had ever happened for her. Had that bizarre, distorted battle only existed for me? Had that photo drifting from the sky been visible to no one else? The night wind rustled through the trees, carrying a damp chill. I clenched the photo in my hand before slipping it back into my pocket, my fingertips still tingling with a faint, unnatural numbness. Narrative artifact archived. Group photo. Alright, so we got another one. So basically, there's like an old version of the photo that we literally just took earlier that day. Here it is. Camera knows. The camera knows that Rodrigo is in this picture. Is looking for him. It's like, where is he? Which one is Rodrigo? No, 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 Nope. He's right there. You confused? It's really trying to find Rodrigo. Anyway, you've got Professor Romanova there. I think this is Neil, because he's like less distorted than the others. So I think this is Neil. And then this is Rodrigo right there. The camera is struggling. It's like, I can't tell. But yeah. Hey. But yeah, so there we are. Group photo. Okay, so I'm gonna add the group photo to my artifact, my trophy board, and we will continue. Ooh, trophy board. Yippee! This is number 6. Got 4 so far. I can't believe there's 13 endings, so I really have to play this game 13 times. I have to play more than 13 times to get everything. Alright. Oh, thank you for the gift membership, Ear Trumpet. Add our points over here. Ooh. Okay. 13 times is the charm. Hehehe. Okay. It was time to end this unnerving night. It is late. It's late, I said, forcing my voice steady, though the strain still leaked through. Let me walk you back. Catherine blinked, then smiled softly, as if she hadn't noticed anything amiss. Of course, she replied lightly, stepping onto the path ahead. The air around campus remained thick and unsettling, but at least we were moving, slowly, back toward reality. Probably. After that night, I began to change, subtly, strangely. At first, it was just small things. Dizziness, fatigue, the kind of weariness that clings like too many sleepless nights, man, I know that so well. But soon, the symptoms deepened. My fingertips prickled with phantom needles. My ears rang with tinnitus that came and went like distant radio static. And worst of all, those late-hour illusions. The air itself thickening, turning damp and cold as if some invisible mist had seeped into my room. Maybe I was imagining it. Or maybe that encounter had left marks even I couldn't see. The one consolation? Remembering Miss Catherine's smile, her voice, the way my frayed nerves stilled just thinking of them. I even went to the library, copied out the scores she'd mentioned, and in the end I couldn't stop myself. I wrote her a letter. Dear Miss Catherine, forgive my boldness in writing. This is Rodrigo Ricci, your guide from that evening at Miskatonic University. I wanted to inform you that I've located the Songs of the Deep at Miskatonic University Library, the score you mentioned. The library's restrictions, I can only enclose a hand-copied version with this letter. Should you desire any other scores, I'd be more than happy to transcribe them for you, page by page. Wishing you all the best. Yours sincerely, Rodrigo Ricci. On Thursday afternoon, I finally have some free time. I wonder if you've managed to escape the lab as well. You're always so busy, but surely those reports can't claim your entire day. If possible, why not set aside those weighty tones for a while and join me for coffee? Catherine. November 19th, 1925. I never expected to maintain correspondence with Miss Catherine after that banquet. Her letters always arrived during the lab's most chaotic moments, brief yet potent, pulling me instantly from the whirl of research data. Her words were like a soft but insistent dawn, cutting through the dim lab lights to remind me of a world beyond academia. Her tone remained effortlessly light. We needed no formalities to slip into easy conversation. A quiet understanding had formed between us, unspoken, understated, yet undeniably real. Meanwhile, our research reached a pivotal breakthrough. The Antarctic expedition was officially scheduled for early 1926. While winter gripped the U.S., the southern hemisphere would bask in summer. Our only window to reach the continent. The lab buzzed with debate. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But the dangers there might far exceed our expectations. Excitement and skepticism swirled, yet most of my peers remained eager. I'd assumed Tong would jump at the chance. He had always chased the unknown, hungering for hidden truths even more than I did. Yet to my surprise, he refused outright. When I pressed him, his reaction was eerily calm, almost cold. Antarctica? Tong Kwok Quen arched a brow, his usual smirk playing at his lips. I have no interest in frozen wastelands. Besides, I don't indulge others' madness. His tone held no hesitation, no emotion, only a warning I couldn't quite decipher. Before I could probe further, he smoothly drew a cigarette from his pocket and offered it to me, a clear dismissal. Smoke? He asked flatly. No thanks. I shook my head. Tong Kwok Quen shrugged, striking a match. The smoke curled upward, veiling his face in haze. My Eastern roommate always carried an air of inscrutable detachment, as if he despised this university, even the medical faculty, yet clung to it with stubborn resolve. But Tong's instincts had an uncanny accuracy. His sudden withdrawal planted a seed of doubt in me about the Antarctic expedition. The expedition looms. Joining the team meant securing the professor's approval for academic deferrals. But lately, she'd become a ghost of herself. After returning from Missouri, where she'd visited the Slumbering Stars Foundation headquarters, she was transformed, her silent, her eyes clouded and distant. She'd stare for hours at the ancient oak outside the lab, as if her soul were trapped elsewhere. No more hands-on experiments, no more obsessing over details. Unthinkable for her. When I finally gathered the courage to request her approval, she'd turned to me with a look I'd never seen before. Mr. Ricci, she murmured, are you absolutely certain you want to go? Her gaze pierced straight through me. For a second, I thought she'd refuse me outright. Antarctica, she hesitated, weighing her words. It may be far more hazardous than you realize. I'd never heard her speak like this. What had happened at the Foundation? Why dissuade me now? Funding issues? Flaws in the expedition plans? Or something worse? But in research, risk is inevitable. I'd already weighed my options. My mind was made up. I wanted to go. The professor seemed to sense my resolve. For a brief moment, her gaze darkened like the Antarctic seas before she finally looked down and signed the papers with quick, decisive strokes. As I turned to leave, relieved, her voice stopped me. One more thing. The Slumbering Stars Foundation is sending a representative. You'll need to receive him. His name is... A pause. A hesitation as if she were fighting some internal battle. Then, at last, Mr. Lunacy. I froze. That face, pale, twitching, unnerving, flashed before me. The man from the hallway outside her office. The one with the jagged scar and that unsettling, manic grin. His cryptic words now lodged in my memory like an ice-cold nail. Yeah, his name is Mr. Lunacy. Surely nothing bad will happen. Sheesh. The gears of fate have begun to turn. The living shall face the cold judgment. From Mr. Lunacy, all members of the Antarctic expedition team must immediately prepare for their final trial. Survival. Training contents. Cold resistance training, ice climbing, survival drills, radio protocols, sub-zero equipment handling. Okay. Cold resistance training. Learn to endure extreme cold without becoming a frozen statue. Frostbite isn't failure. It's just a slow farewell to the world. Ice climbing. Understand crevices. Learn how seemingly solid surfaces hide fatal traps. Survival drills. Even if you can't adapt, you will become a part of the ice. Storms don't ask for your name. Evade or be consumed. Radio protocols. If you still trust technology, master distress calls. Not all signals escape. Sub-zero equipment handling. Keep your fingers functional at negative 40 degrees Celsius. These instruments may be your last tether to reality. No exemptions. Special notice. No sled dogs will participate. They refuse to go near you. But you will master crampons, sleds, and weighted marches. Human feet are far more fragile than your expectations. Warnings. Antarctica does not welcome you. Its storms, its darkness, its splitting ice, they all take prey equally. This isn't just training. It's a rehearsal. Your sole objective? Survive. Assembly time. Next Monday, 7 o'clock at the main gate. The bus awaits. Destination. The Proving Grounds. Additional notes. Gear. Bring all lab-issued equipment. Every gram could tip the scales between life and death. Rules. Absolute obedience. No accidents, quote-unquote, permitted. Escape. There are no roads leading out of Antarctica. Remember, training is just the beginning. The true test waits in the deep ice. Mr. Lunacy. Yeah, I just don't know if I want to be trained by a guy named Mr. Lunacy. Antarctic survival training. Our training base was set up in an abandoned gymnasium on the outskirts of Arkham. I'm not sure how Mr. Lunacy found this place. It housed a fully functional indoor snowfield far more suited to our needs than standard facilities. Yet that very fact raised questions. Why would a small town like Arkham have such specialized polar training equipment? Had another expedition team trained here before us? Fragmented records I'd stumbled upon in the library surfaced in my mind. 2 years ago, Miskatonic University had sent an Antarctic team, but detailed reports were never published, at least not to lowly students like me. I forced the thought aside. Just before isolation training, a small package arrived from Catherine. Inside, a VIP ticket for Madama Butterfly at the Aldebaran Echo Opera, accompanied by her brief, heart-lifting note. Reserve the best seat in the house. For you. An invitation that needed no decoding. The mere thought of seeing her once more before departure made even this grueling training feel worthwhile. However, for the first day, our illusions were shattered within hours. The training bordered on brutality, vertical ice climbs, rope ascents, precision ice axe and crampon work, self-arrest drills. Every technique had to be flawless. In the polar wilderness, the smallest mistake escalated into catastrophe. When crossing hazardous zones, the entire team would be roped together. One misstep and the others had seconds to react, or they'd all go sliding into a pitch-black crevasse. The instructors even deployed industrial fans to... I keep adding letters that aren't supposed to be there. Like, I don't know. My voice, man. The instructors even deployed industrial fans to simulate blizzard conditions. The artificial wind stole our breath, its bite so vicious it felt real, like the next gust might drag us into oblivion. Beyond endurance drills, we learned snow anchor placement, tent pitching, kerosene stove operation, even snow cave digging. Neil, our expedition photographer, had hoped to avoid the worst of it, until reality yanked him back. If you can't pitch that tent faster, the trainer clapped Neil's shoulder with exaggerated cheer, you'll make a lovely ice sculpture. No one laughed. Neil's face went corpse pale. Taylor, at least, was a natural. Ice climbs, weighted marches, storm traverse. He moved through each drill with unsettling ease. This is nothing. He grinned at us through the howling wind tunnel, planted firmly while we staggered. The real test begins in Antarctica. Yet no amount of training could simulate everything, like altitude sickness. Antarctica's average elevation is 2,350 meters, the highest continent on Earth. There, thin air and oxygen deprivation won't grant you time to adjust. They'll sap your strength silently, draining oxygen from your blood before you even notice. Limbs grow heavy, thoughts blur, until, eventually, you collapse. We could drill 1,000 times here. But the real test begins the moment our boots touch the ice. Still, there was some relief. Professor Romanova negotiated with Mr. Lunacy, securing airship transport to the continental fringe. At least we won't exhaust ourselves on a forced march immediately after arrival. For now, that was the closest thing to good news we would get. Day by day, the routine carved itself into my bones. 20-mile weighted runs outside the base, ice drills until my hands bled. When training first began, I couldn't even haul myself up a pulley rope, a weakness that would have killed me in the field. But after months of brutal conditioning, I could finally match Taylor's performance stride for stride. During a rare break, I returned to campus and ran into Tong Kwok Kwen in the hallway. It hit me then that I hadn't seen him in ages. The usual razor-edged sarcasm was absent. Instead, his gaze held something unfamiliar. Quiet, heavy, almost reluctant. "So you're really going," he finally said. Question casual, but his tone uncharacteristically sober. "Of course." The answer left my lips before I could think. Tong fell silent, thumbing the old copper coin he always carried, a family heirloom worn smooth from years of restless handling. Then, with a faint, indecipherable smile, "That thing I gave you. Still got it?" "What thing?" I drew a blank. "The talisman," he said, tilting his chin up as if prompting my memory. "The one I slipped you in the library freshman year." For a moment, I just stared. He must have meant that yellow paper triangle, folded tight and scrawled with intricate Eastern sigils I couldn't begin to decipher. Back then, I'd assumed it was just one of his dry jokes, tossed it into my travel case and forgot about it. "Keep it safe," Tong said, his tone casual but his eyes uncharacteristically steady. "That thing works." Casual, but his eyes uncharacteristically would have... very similar. I studied his face, searching for any hint of whether this was a gag or a genuine warning. "Meaning?" He didn't answer, just smirked and shrugged. "Literally." Then, slipping back into his usual sarcasm, "After all, if you vanish, I'll finally be the top of the class." Same old Tong. Yet something felt off, like he was forcing the levity, papering over something heavier. With that, he walked away. I stood there, watching his silhouette dissolve into the hallway's dim glow. My palm tingled. A strange, unshakable sense coiled in my gut. Was that a joke? or a warning. Hi, Riggin! Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, you were playing Fortnite. The youth. Game for the youth. Oh my goodness. Hope you had a good time. For those that don't know me, my name is Hime. I'm a parrot VTuber. I normally do solo TTRPGs. I also do all sorts of crafts and board games and build and paint minis and all sorts of stuff like that. Today I'm playing Abyss Echo, which is a sort of mix between a board game and a TTRPG, but it is a like Lovecraftian horror theme. It's a lot of reading, so it's a lot like story time, you know. If you have to raid and run, totally understand. Please take care of yourself. Do all of your post-stream care and such. But if you want to stick around for a bit, I think we're wrapping up chapter 1, and then we'll be starting chapter 2. I have work. Oh no, I'm sorry. Hang in there. Do the best you can. I hope you have an awesome stream. Thank you. Well, I'm trying to take it easy at work. As best as you can. I hope you eat something good before you go in. Thanks again for raiding, and have a good day at work. Alright, well, I'll take this moment to eat some more of my pastry and have some more tea before we continue. We're going somewhere without Tong. What terrible thing awaits us in the Antarctic? I should have toasted it. It would have been more crispy and stuff if I'd toasted it. Hello! Hi, Muffy! Welcome in. Hope you're doing well today. And thanks for raiding in. This is kind of a storytime stream. It is a sort of board game, choose your own adventure, but if you like Lovecraftian horror, that's what we're doing. Oh no! I'm already having so much trouble reading. Oh my gosh, I'm reflected in the side of the binder. You can technically see me, but I've been squished into a little slender person. That was kind of funny. Not again. No, I mean, okay, look, it's right there. Can you see anything? Okay, technically it's reflecting me, but can you, like, see anything? Whee! Look, I'm dancing. Can't even tell. That's funny. I just noticed it because when I lifted my bottle of tea to drink it, I saw it moving in the reflection, but, like, it's so thin that you really can't, like, actually perceive anything. It's just funny. As in one of these days, I'm probably just gonna give up and be like a 2.5D streamer. Because, like, it's easier than this. I don't think your fans are rabid enough to go through that many layers to dox you. I think so, too. I have a pretty... I would say I have a pretty non-parasocial viewership. Especially when you will just dox yourself later. True. Also, it's pretty, you know, all you have to do is go to Offkai and find me. And go to the tabletop tent. Where I keep repeatedly saying I will be and then don't actually show up until the last day. Okay. Listen, I had every intention of going. And actually, I kind of wish I had gone because I might have gotten into Grand Archive a little bit sooner and been able to participate in their little beginners tournament. But no. Didn't discover it till the last day. I had too much going on. Quartz. Point quartz crystals. This will protect me from the darkness. No, it won't. Alright. The brutal regimen passed in a blur. Tomorrow marks our last day and the final inventory check for Antarctic gear. Today's survival test results placed me at the top. Good news, theoretically. At least it means my odds of surviving that frozen hell just improved. But the real event wasn't training. It was him, the Slumbering Stars Foundation's emissary, Mr. Lunacy. This mysterious gentleman, his very presence was unnerving. Mr. Lunacy was a tall, gaunt man who wore a slightly tilted black bowler hat. His clothes were immaculate, perfectly tailored, yet carried an indefinable dissonance, not disheveled, but too deliberate, as if he'd studied how to dress like a normal person, rather than lived it. That faint smile never left his lips, but it was stiff, like facial muscles long unused, frozen in practiced mimicry. Yet the true unease came from his eyes, too wide, too much white. He blinked far slower than any human should, like some cold-blooded creature observing through glass. His gaze held clinical detachment, yet crackled with inexplicable excitement. His gaze locked onto us, especially me, with an intensity that chilled my spine. It was the look of a researcher finally getting his hands on a long-awaited specimen, mentally dissecting how best to carve it open and examine what lay inside. Mr. Lunacy offered no comment on our training results, but his interest in me was unmistakable. Rodrigo Ricci, he repeated my name softly, as if tasting the syllables. Then with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, you're more intact than I expected. I stayed silent, meeting his stare without flinching. After a few seconds, he leaned back, his expression shifting to something amused, like a cat toying with a mouse. As if nothing had happened, he turned his attention to our equipment, critiquing each item with unsettling precision. I had to admit, his expertise was undeniable. He immediately spotted flaws we'd overlooked. Not enough alcohol fuel. You accounted for cooking, but forgot about melting ice for water. Rope resilience must be retested in extreme cold. Standard fibers become brittle. Rations need recalculation. Any shortage down there will be permanent. His tone was casual, almost conversational, as if discussing an art exhibit rather than life or death logistics. Human survival instinct, he mused, twirling his cane, is such a charming little trait. Professor Romanova had hoped to host the emissary overnight for further discussion, but Mr. Lunacy declined with a polite, unyielding smile. Tomorrow evening's opera tickets were purchased long ago, I'm afraid. His gaze drifted across the room as he spoke, finally settling on me. Then a slow blink. His smile twisted suddenly, sharp as a predator abandoning camouflage. Madama Butterfly. He drew out the syllables, lips curling further. Your very performance, Mr. Ricci. How did he know we were going? That's freaky. Alright, so now we have this expedition inventory list. I really don't want to read all of that. I mean, it's a list of equipment. It's there for flavor. I don't really want to read all that, so I'm not going to. But there's stuff. There's stuff and things to survive the Antarctic. The grueling training was finally over. Tonight was Catherine's performance. I hadn't looked in a mirror much during my time at the base, but today I took extra care, fresh clothes, even aftershave. The thought of spending months in Antarctica's desolate ice and endless polar night made these ordinary rituals almost feel sacred. I arrived at the theater early, hoping to wait quietly backstage, but when I pushed the door open, I saw something unexpected. Catherine sat on a bench, surrounded by children in simple clothes. Leaning forward slightly, her face luminous under the lights, she listened intently to a little girl's chatter, responding now and then with soft words that sent the children into giggles. Her skirt spilled over the bench like pooled moonlight, her usual stage brilliance replaced by a quiet, mesmerizing warmth. For a moment she seemed less a diva and more a spirit stumbled upon in coastal mist, beautiful, effortless, and fleeting. She noticed my presence and looked up, her lips curving into that familiar smile. You're here. I stepped closer, eyeing the children curiously. Who are they? A troop tradition, she said, blinking playfully. The Aldebaran Echo Opera never visits a new city without collecting a few children. Collecting, I echoed, startled. She laughed, soft and mischievous. Not literally, of course. We take in those with nowhere to go, let them help backstage, give them a home. Some stay and join us properly. Others leave when they're ready, skills in hand. I fell silent watching the scene, warm, yet strangely surreal. This troop was far more peculiar, far more mysterious than I'd ever imagined. But what truly unsettled me wasn't the children. It was the theater itself. At first glance, it was all opulence. Heavy velvet curtains, gilded moldings, crystal chandeliers, posters, and trinkets scattered about, everything befitting a world-class opera house. Yet the longer I looked, the more unease crept in. The marine motifs were excessive. The murals depicted surging tidal waves at intricate whirlpools, while the decorative pieces scattered in corners were all spiral seashells. Even the carvings on the lounge table legs suddenly morphed into something slick and unnerving tentacular. Tentacular. I think tentacular sounds right. At first glance, they appeared as mere elegant curves, but upon closer inspection, they inevitably evoked images of those nameless, grotesque creatures lurking in the ocean's depths. Worse was the dampness in the air, faint but persisting, raising goosebumps along my neck. My shoulders tensed. My back prickled with cold sweat. Why didn't you notice this the last time you came? That's weird. But Catherine seemed oblivious. She leaned against the bench, still chatting with the children, her smile effortless, as if all of this were perfectly normal. At that moment, my gaze fell upon an ornate brooch resting on the table. Its metal surface was intricately engraved with swirling wave patterns, and at its center sat a deep blue gemstone that eerily resembled the eye of some abyssal creature, staring silently back at me. "What's this?" I picked it up without thinking, my thumb tracing its cold, polished surface. "A gift from an eccentric fan," Catherine said offhandedly. "We occasionally receive peculiar presents. This one was rather striking, so I kept it." I studied the brooch, its design naggingly familiar yet impossible to place, as if I'd seen its likeness somewhere before, but couldn't recall where. "Do you like it?" She tilted her head, curious. "Not exactly." I set it back down slowly. The air still clung thick with that inexplicable, suffocating dampness. Tonight, Catherine transformed into Madame Butterfly on stage. She stood at the center, her skirts fluttering like a butterfly ensnared by fate. Her voice, clear and aching, poured forth as if drawn from the depths of her soul, each note carrying unspoken prayers and ineffable sorrow, seeping into the blood of every listener. "One fine day we'll see a wisp of smoke arising over the faint horizon, or the far horizon on the sea, and then the ship appearing, and then the ship is white, enters the harbor, thunders her salute. See, he has come." Her song bloomed in the darkness, every trembling inflection heartbreakingly real. The theater held its breath. Even the air seemed to still, leaving only her voice to command every pulse and gasp. From my box seat, my chest tightened with each phrase, as if gripped by an unseen hand. Antarctica loomed, and this performance might be my last glimpse of her before departure. As the curtains fell, petals drifted like snow. She collapsed alone on stage, her final aria a withering flower lost in its own brilliance. The lights dimmed, the piano's tide receded. Only when her eyes closed did I realize mine had grown wet. The applause erupted like thunder. I leapt to my seat, shouting "Bravo!" before I could stop myself, and that's when I noticed him, seated at the far end of the box as if he'd always been there. Mr. Lunacy. I could have sworn that seat was empty before the lights dimmed, yet now he sat there, emerging from the shadows like a developing photograph, poised and elegant in black gloves, his lips curled in that faint, unsettling smile. He tilted his head slightly, offering a polite nod. "What a coincidence, Mr. Ricci." His voice carried an odd, rehearsed cadence, as if these words had been spoken in another theater 1,000 times before, or practiced in dreams. My fingers twitched involuntarily. "Are you also acquainted with this lovely lady?" He stretched the word lovely, savoring it like some private joke. Then he stood, straightening his collar. "You'll excuse me. I must pay my respects." The theater lights brightened gradually as applause continued to reverberate. I understood. Tonight, Catherine belonged to the stage, to the audience, not solely to me. Yet when that emissary approached her, whispering into her ear, I caught the faintest furrow between her brows, a flicker of hesitation in her eyes, though her polite smile returned swiftly, an icy dread coiled in my gut. At last it was my turn. She turned to me, her gaze luminous and tender, a smile of indescribable cherishing playing on her lips. "A flawless performance, Miss Catherine. May your stage forever shine." I extended my hand, clasping hers. Her fingers settled lightly into my palm, cool to the touch, as if still holding the afterglow of stage lights or the faint vibration of her song. I'm glad we met tonight, Rodrigo." Her eyes lingered on mine, her smile deepening as she weighed her words. Then softly, "After you return from Antarctica, come hear me sing again." We stood there, hands clasped, oblivious to the crowd's swell, the applause, the chatter, the theater's roar like distant tides. Neither of us let go, not for a long while. I knew it then. This was her farewell. We linger as shadows of butterflies, as if the night will never fade. That is the end of chapter 1. Okay, so it is time for some takedown. We're gonna set up, put away chapter 1. I know the binder can hold 2 chapters, but I would really prefer to just keep it to 1 chapter at a time. That way, as I finish each chapter, I can just, take it down, put it in the box, and set up the next chapter. I just think it's easier for me to keep everything, like, separate, So let's work on that. So I think I'm going to put all the marks and keys inside of the velvet bag. So I know they don't come up super often, but it would be better if I didn't always have to see. Alright, so I have the chapter 2 stuff. I have the box for chapter 1. So I'm just going to put all of the chapter 1 stuff back into its box. Put the artifacts at the bottom, and then I'll lay the story part on top. Yeah, so it seems like out of these 6 artifacts, I got 4 of them. So I didn't get artifact number 1 or number 5. So it's like another newspaper and then my student ID, and that's because I failed to check when I tried to get the student ID, but yeah, failed in that check, so alright. I'll pop these out. Well, it goes nicely back into this box. Okay. Alright. Box. Okay, there we go. Box is a little peculiar in the way that it closes. Alright, I think that's the best one. Okay, so I'm gonna put the chapter 1 stuff back in the box, and then it's time to open and set up chapter 2. Alrighty. So chapter 2 is called To Antarctica. Interesting to see what all comes out. I'm removing the plastic wrap before I put the box on the desk because it is reflective, and I already accidentally dox myself so easily. The last thing I need is another reflective surface. Messing that up. Alright. Cup of steel on the back. Put it together. Yeah, I had peeled the sticker off last time, but then it made it like sticky on the surface, so now we're just not gonna do that. Alright, here we go. All this stuff. There's a ice crystal thing. That's a little creepy. Full of artifacts. We've got the sealed file, which honestly, I'm just gonna keep sealed because we don't have the keys right now anyways, so I'm just gonna keep the sealed files like in the box instead of bothering with it. I've got the encounter card. It already looks more complicated. But yeah, so we have these artifacts. And I appreciate that it has this little thingy in it so I can make sure I have all the things. So there's 2 sealed files. There's 4 narrative artifacts. 2, 4, yep. Then the adversary card. Got it. Now we gotta put all the pages in order. I think to avoid looking at them too much, I'm gonna leave the artifacts in the chapter 2 box until I need them, until they come up. That way I'm not so aware of what they are, because I feel like having them in the binder last time, you know, I could see them and it was a little too much. I unleashed! I'm doing well. We are playing this sort of Lovecraftian horror game. So I just finished chapter 1. So we're setting up chapter 2 because the pages are slightly out of order because they have all these like specially printed pages that go in different places. So I gotta put the booklet together, as it were. And each chapter is sealed so that you can't like spoil yourself too much ahead of time. So there's chapter 2. Putting the booklet together. We'll probably do a bit of chapter 2. And then I'll find a good place to stop. Alright. So I have these. Alright, so this one is on page 171. Oh, I see. The page numbers go on from chapter 1, so that way if I could put everything into one binder, you know, especially with the whatchamacallit. I have the other insert, so I could have chapter 1 here, chapter 2 and chapter 3 here in the middle, and then chapter 4 at the end. I guess I could do that. Then I don't have to keep, but then I think it's better, I honestly think it's better to keep everything a little bit more separated though, because I'm not going back to chapter 1 in this playthrough anyway. Alright. There's that. This one goes on page 265. Try not to look at it too much. This one is on page 177. I wish at least these were in order, but nope. Oh, 177, my bad. This one, page 159. This one on page 278. I think it's very random. Okay. Paper shavings. 260. It's the last one. Page 226. All right, here we go. Now, on the other hand, the sealed files do have a page number, and it is easier, it is nicer than to put all of that into chapter 2 when I'm done. All right, it's fine. I'll just put those in where they're supposed to go. Okay. Let me get those sealed files and put that in, and chapter 2 will be ready to go. Popping out the little plastic pieces that are in the side. $235. Do. There. And the next one is on page 269. Do. All right. It is chapter 2. Away we go. I'm gonna have a thing. Oh. Random bits of paper stuck in the... There we go. I think I got it. Okay, here we go. Oh, I see somebody got my glasses and then took them away again. I am now glassesless once more. Okay, here we go. To Antarctica. I wonder if, let me see if I can find, like, different playlist for this. Okay. Let me see if I have, try to find the, we'll see how this is. I think there's a few songs on here that may not be a perfect match, but we'll try. I just searched the keyword Antarctica and epidemic sound, and we'll just see how this goes. That way it's some different songs. Okay. Okay, so here we go. To Antarctica. January 4th, 1926. On the eve of our departure, the Expedition Operational Guide was finally distributed. It detailed the planned phases of our polar mission. Turn this a little bit. There we go. Mission. Operational directives. Aurora display. Deploy detection instruments and live cell culture apparatus at observation points to collect long-term data. Amundsen node. Proceed deep into the polar interior to the presumed site of the Amundsen remains. Conduct focused on-site verification experiments. 1. Establishment. Complete reconnaissance of surrounding ice structure. Delineate safe operational zones. Erect observation station. Calibrate meteorological and environmental baseline data. Establish 24-hour watch rotation. Advance along designated route to the Gilinder Amundsen remains site. Track auroral activity. Analyze correlation between geomagnetic anomalies and local climate. The primary task is to initiate cancer cell auroral radiation exposure trials, record cell division and mutation data sequentially. We also need to collect ice core geological samples and dormant microorganisms for taxonomic identification. Establish loss-free data transmissions between temporary camp and first supply depot. Supplement and organize existing data archives. Trace anomalous homologies in geological and biological specimens. Okay, this is not quite it. Maybe I should do space. I feel like space and Antarctica have a lot in common. This is not right. Jeez. Alright. Okay. And then the extraction part says, catalog interim samples, draft encrypted preliminary scientific report, conduct final environmental monitoring, inventory and secure all experimental equipment. Estimated early April, return to Arkham via Buenos Aires, carrying preliminary screened data. Okay, so we're here from January to April. Ooh, we got a letter from Tong. Ricci, I know you're leaving soon. You also know I'm not one to meddle in other people's business, least of all your decisions. But this time I'm putting it plainly up front so I don't have to deal with the hassle of collecting your corpse later. I've never agreed with this Antarctic expedition, from start to finish. To put it bluntly, it's suicide. I don't trust Professor Romanova's project. Use that brain of yours, the part that isn't frozen solid yet, and think. That melted body. Do you really believe it was just the aurora? And even if it was, who's to say that's purely natural? Could it be something in the ice that we were never meant to understand? As for the professor, I won't guess her motives, but to me, this expedition is underprepared and has no exit strategy. She's taking a bunch of eager but clueless students into the deep. It is less a scientific survey and more a gamble that mixes blind faith, luck, and stupidity, and you don't need to be the chip that gets thrown away. Take my advice. If there's any way to back out, whatever, pain, feign illness, find an excuse, or just run, just do it. Don't board that ship. I'm writing this not as a classmate, not on academic grounds, but... He wrote as a friend and then crossed it out. The last warning I can give you. Don't wait until everything's already gone wrong to remember the choice you made today. You still have time to stop. Tong. And we went anyways. Yep. Day 1. The rhythmic clatter of train wheels over the tracks sounded like a monotonous countdown. I watched Arkham shrink through the gray steam into a blurred, dark line. Tong's letter lay in my inner pocket, pressed against my chest like a hot iron. I didn't take it out again. Whether it was foolishness or blindness, my choice was made. We boarded the Ocean Warrior in Port Elizabeth, an older hybrid vessel. Its steam stack, standing alongside tall masts, felt like a compromise between eras. When we set sail, the deck trembled deep underfoot, a vibration that traveled up my soles, up to the knees. Day 14. Day 14. 11 days aboard the Ocean Warrior. The air was thick with rot, coal, smoke, and engine oil clinging to the skin no matter how often you washed. Jungle walls rose like green cliffs, squeezing the sky to a slit. Crossing here moved us from the Atlantic into the Pacific. Day 20. After a brief stop in Panama, we transferred to a smaller plane. 2 layovers later, the aircraft landed in Buenos Aires under a low, murky sky. The ground felt solid, but the sky had grown alien. Clouds... Alright. I need something else. This is not right. Should just play from this one dude, because this seems pretty good. Okay, and we'll just randomize from... I feel like this is a good place. Okay, alright. 2 layers later, the aircraft landed in Buenos Aires under a low, murky sky. The ground felt solid, but the sky had grown alien. Clouds hung lower, thicker, the lights sickly pale. Even the gravity in the air seemed heavier. Day 23. The train to Ushuaia moved like a rusted needle stitching the world's wound. Ooh, that's a great line. Outside lay barren tundra and endless gray mist. As the latitude climbed, conversation in the carriage faded. Cold crept in like a silent ghost, seeping through every seam into our coats. Day 26. Finally, 22-49-13, Ushuaia, the last human outpost on Earth. My knees barely straightened after 26 days of jolting travel. My bones felt rattled loose. A man stood on the platform, Rourke V. Cole, expedition leader assigned by the Foundation. He looked about 40, broad-shouldered, dark hair streaked with gray. Unlike the others, he wore his collar open. His gaze held us like ingredients for a stew. "Welcome to the ass end of the world, ladies and gentlemen," he grinned. "Another 800 kilometers and you're in the devil's front yard. Hope you packed enough diapers." In person, he proved talkative, seasoned, and dangerously fond of dark humor. That night, at the welcome dinner, Rourke shoved a glass of strong liquor into my hand. I forced it down. Liquid fire burned through my throat and stomach, a harsh pain that washed away 26 days of numbness. I coughed, eyes watering, lungs filled with hot vapor. He laughed and slapped my back hard enough to nearly knock the air from me. "Look at that, still breathing," he shouted out to the others, his tone a mix of mockery and rough praise. Later, I heard he had over 20 years of survival experience. With a bastard like him leading, I thought, maybe we stood a chance. Maybe it was the alcohol, but that night I slept deeply, as if all the agitation of the past 26 days had found a brief balance between body and ice. At the end of the world, I had my last dreamless sleep. Okay. The day after arrival, we didn't rush out. The entire Ushuaia dock churned with a precise, brutal bustle. Rourke directed the team like foremen hauling heavy gear. By contrast, we student researchers felt redundant, left to repeatedly check expensive instruments like they were fragile infants. I used the chance to study this end-of-the-world town. The air felt sharp, not pure. A deep breath stabbed my lungs with cold, like tiny glass shards piercing the membranes with a raw, painful clarity. Down the coast, a sickly blue-gray haze distorted the shoreline. Beyond lay the eternal ice. Standing on the pier, the wind cutting my face, I couldn't help thinking, if only Tong were here. His letter had made me hesitate. He called this place forbidden, an abyss, the other side we weren't meant to know. But now, seeing that pale blue ice plain under the dawn light, it was hard to connect the view with his warnings. Maybe I was overconfident, but this was likely my only chance in my youth to set foot on this mysterious ground. Even if it truly was an abyss, I needed to see it for myself. In theory, our task wasn't complicated. Deploy the Aurora array, run the cancer cell experiments, record baseline data, follow procedures, stick to the path. In theory, the only variable was the weather, and with the summer polar day, everything should be manageable. At least, that was the hope. That night, sleep wouldn't come. The day's excitement faded, leaving a nervous, brittle wakefulness. Around 2 a.m, the wind outside sounded strange. It was not blowing so much as rubbing against the wooden walls like something heavy and alive, a low, intermittent groan. I turned over. My roommate slept soundly, his steady breathing fueling a mix of envy and irritation. Then, just as I forced my eyes shut, a noise came from the hallway. Not the wind, but boots pressing old floorboards, the rustle of heavy fabric. Muffled, but in the dead quiet, each sound landed like a drumbeat. I sat up, held my breath. Silence. A trick of the mind? No, the wind didn't carry that much weight. In a remote border town inn at 2 a.m, no one should be out there. Therefore, a mundane but plausible thought surfaced. A thief? We were outsiders with cases of expensive research equipment, easy targets. If the spectrometers or microscopes disappeared before we even left, the expedition was finished. In a place like this, any slip could be fatal. Investigators action! I think we need to check. I think at least for this playthrough, we're going for just look at everything. Check. Go. Just do. So we're gonna do it. So we're gonna skip to page 145. Check to be sure. I should check, just to be sure. Just realized, because they do have a soundtrack, that I got a CD for, but I wonder if there might be a, a digital version that they made available somewhere. So happy to be here live. Hello. Hi, Sacred. Welcome, welcome. I don't know if, let's see. So I have the CD, right? That was one of the things that I got, but I don't have a CD player built into this computer, so I have no way to put the CD, in. I wonder if they just made it available online, because I know on their YouTube they have, previews of the BGM. Curious. Let's pause this music for a second. So this is like a preview of one of the songs. It sounds great. Wait, it says full versions will be released with the digital rewards. Do I have digital rewards? This sounds great. Definitely want to listen to this instead. Let me check my stuff. You have a preview for the second one? We're gonna listen. I wanna hear the other ones. I wanna know what I'm about to get into. That was the first song, then here's another one. Oh yeah, it's Pledge Box. We'll see. Okay, yeah, okay. We do have the digital products. Yes! Alright, look at that. Hang on, so let me download that and see. Moment, that sounded really cool too. Okay. Listen to the third one. So we're just getting a brief preview, the BGM here. And this is the official BGM. Right, that's really neat. Edge ball. What are the passwords I just used? Okay. Profile. Okay, where's my Abyss Echo part? Okay. I think I have two different accounts, which is a problem. Right, I have to reset my password. Okay, I see, I see. Sorry, I am on my computer on the side, and so that's why the tracking keeps going away. All right, and then this is the last preview. Oh, it's just a chapter theme. Okay, I see. Okay, is this one? Right. There's my Abyss Echo. And then how do I get the stuff? Soundtrack and digital. Download the digital products. There they are. Okay, that took a moment. Cool. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of stuff in there. Okay. Think I got that. Okay, so I wonder though, because we have the Echo Galaxy. Oops. Okay, make sure I have all the stuff and things. Okay, and this is on 18. Okay, okay, okay. I think I got it. Okay, I actually do have PDFs of everything, but you know, I like showing y'all the book. So the hand cam is nice, but I actually could have put everything up on the screen because I didn't realize that I actually have access. I get access to the digital files as well. Did not realize. But cool, I do have the background music. Neat. Okay, so let me import those. I have a Winamp ready to go. And we'll listen to those instead. So it's like the official thing. It's my music thing. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. So I don't think I'll shuffle the playlist. I think it's fine. I'll just repeat. So now we're listening to the official soundtrack. Oh yeah, I love how this sounds great. Okay, let me turn up the volume a teensy bit. Oh, this sounds wonderful. Okay. Very nice and spooky. Very good, very good. Much better. Much, much better. Okay. All right, cool. While I was looking up the digital things, I saw that the reason why we get this this little card with our special number on it is that every backer of the Kickstarter has their own special number, and we all get our own constellation in this little star chart. And so when I'm done playing the game, at least the first playthrough, I can send in my comments, and then my star will just be there permanently. That's really neat. London, thanks for my glasses back. Now I can read what we're doing. Sorry, I appreciate y'all being patient as I went and got the official soundtrack, because I did not realize I had it available to me. So yeah, there it is. So, okay. So now we're listening to the game's official soundtrack. All right, so that night, sleep wouldn't come. The day's excitement faded. Words. You're heading to work. Okay, yeah, have a great day at work, London. The day's excitement faded, leaving a nervous, brittle wakefulness. Around 2 in the morning, the wind outside sounded strange. It was not blowing so much as rubbing against the wooden walls like something heavy and alive, a low, intermittent groan. I turned over. My roommate slept soundly, his steady breathing fueling a mix of envy and irritation. Then, just as I forced my eyes shut, a noise came from— Oh wait, no, I already read this. Right? Yeah, I did. Right, we got to where I said I was going to check. I just hadn't turned the page yet. Okay, so we're going to check, because we're worried that a thief has come to steal our expensive equipment. I got out of bed. The floor groaned underfoot like a warning. I meant to listen at the door, but as I lowered my gaze, a sheet of paper slid silently underneath. Slow, patient in a way that chilled me, as if someone knelt outside, watching my feet through the gap. I stepped back. When the paper lay still, I picked it up. In the faint light, I recognized what I'd spent all day searching for, certain it was lost. My ticket. So we have unlocked another artifact, number 7, the steamer ticket. So let me add that to our board. This is, yep, the Ocean Brave line. I have the sticker here. So, number 7, steamer ticket. I don't know why somebody took it. I don't know why they slid it creepily under the door. Did I say number 7? Yeah, this one is number 7. Oh. Alright. Okay. I held the ticket, spine cold. I'd meant to keep it as a souvenir, but yesterday it vanished from my luggage. I turned everything inside out, finally writing it off to carelessness. Now, at 2 in the morning, it returned like an intrusion. Whoever was outside hadn't left. I felt the weight of their presence. Suppressing the shock, I yanked the door open. No one. No monster, just a blast of icy wind that hit my face like a wet shroud. Early February in Ushuaia showed no mercy. The air tasted of broken ice. At the far end of the corridor, the open terrace faced the docks. A figure stood there, back to me, anchored in the gale. His coat whipped violently, but he remained motionless, a piece of black iron hammered into the wind. I pulled my coat tighter and walked onto the terrace. The wind nearly pushed me back. Each breath felt like swallowing blades. My cheeks had gone numb. A few steps closer, I recognized him, Rourke. He leaned against the railing, not holding a telescope, but turning a knife in his hand. The blade gleamed cold under the moonlight. He seemed to have known I was there, didn't even turn. This ticket. I held up the paper, my voice shredded by the wind. You took it? You dropped it, he corrected me, voice rough as gravel, eyes openly mocking. Slipped out of your damn coat lining onto the sooty deck. If it weren't for me, it'd be feeding fish in the Atlantic by now. I can't remember what voice I used for him. I think it was more boisterous, but yeah, it's nighttime. I paused. Thanks. The word felt awkward. I thought I'd lost it. Don't thank me yet, kid. He stepped closer, his presence heavier than the cold. In the ice, losing things gets you killed. Today it's a ticket. Tomorrow your gloves, your oxygen valve, or your neck. He grinned, teeth white, but there was no warmth in it. Only appraisal. We leave tomorrow. He turned back toward the dark bay. The Foundation rustled up a steam icebreaker. Enjoy this last taste of civilization. Once we cross the Drake Passage, it's no man's land. I leaned on the railing beside him. Why is there even a city here? I'd think a place like this would be empty. Prisoners. The word carried a dark amusement. First ones shipped here weren't explorers, they were convicts. Sent to cut timber, lay rail, work till they dropped. Some tried to run, but, you see... He gestured toward the endless dark eyes. This place is a natural prison. No walls needed. The cold's the best warden. Try to escape on your own, you'll become part of the landscape. It sounded like black humor, but I couldn't laugh. I understood the weight in his words, a statement of fact, delivered cold. And if I were you, I wouldn't have come out here tonight. He looked down at me, his gaze hooking into my face, that smirk deepening. You never know what's behind the door, boy. His eyes were sharp, like he was cutting me open, weighing me. Strangely, I didn't sense malice. It felt more like sizing up a piece of equipment, wondering how long it would last. Before I could think it through, he clapped my shoulder. Hard. A warning or maybe an acceptance. Then he left. We were finally underway. On the route towards the Antarctic Peninsula, we saw the aurora for the first time. That day, the steam icebreaker struggled through the Drake Passage's meat grinder. Difficult felt too gentle. I had the sense the whole ship might be torn apart at any moment. The waves weren't water so much as fluid concrete. Each impact made the deck shriek. It was a metallic tearing that didn't sound like machinery, more like the snapping bones of some vast sea creature. We clung to the railings. Freezing seawater crashed over us. I tasted iron. The violent shaking ran up my spine into my teeth. Staying upright was a luxury. Then, suddenly, without warning, it all stopped. Not the storm easing, but cutting off. One moment, deafening roar. The next, wind and waves fell silent. The world went mute. The unnatural stillness, defying physics, chilled me more than the storm. I could hear the hum of my own blood in my veins. Then it appeared. A ghostly green glow tore across the distant sky, then flowed down from the tear like a vast curtain woven from light. It shifted, coiled, rotated in the night. Its brightness pulsed like the breath of something colossal, a slow, breathing pulse across the black dome. The aurora poured over us like inverted tides, breathtakingly beautiful yet dangerously seductive, as if ready to pull the soul into a vacuum. I stared, my eyes aching, my heart contracting in rhythm with its pulse. The light spread, thickened, until the entire ship was caged in that living glow. Only then did I understand what it meant to feel both mind and spirit shaken. There you go. There you can see the whole page. It's really pretty. You can see the icebreaker there, the ice. A researcher's instinct took over. The moment our senses returned, we scrambled to our monitoring equipment. The spectrograph's needle jerked violently as if trying to shatter the glass. Beside it, the electromagnetic sensor emitted a steady, shrill scream as if countless invisible phantoms were piercing the hull. And us. Yet the Geiger counter, the instrument meant to validate the professor's central theory, remained dead silent. 0. I tapped the casing, thinking it had frozen. The reading stayed 0. No radiation, no fluctuations. It defied physics, but in that moment it was the only truth. It made no sense. The professor's entire theory rested on the idea that Antarctic auroras carried unique radiation, the key to curing cancer. I looked over at Professor Romanova, braced for collapse or despair. But no. She stood at the deck's edge, the eerie green light washing over her face. When we reported the 0 reading, her shoulders relaxed, almost imperceptibly. For a moment I was confused. Why? The data proved her wrong, yet she showed no disappointment, but more like relief? As if what she truly feared wasn't failure, but detecting something. Was it because the radiation source had to be near the Galinder Edmundson site? Or was it because it was so rare it required specific conditions to capture? I tried to understand. Oh god. Lost in thought until the others' cheers broke through. Senior Taylor slapped my shoulder hard, shouting in my ear, "Ricci, it's a sign! The ice is welcoming us!" That was the sailor's tale we'd heard in Ushuaia. Seeing the aurora before reaching Antarctica meant good luck. I subconsciously looked at the professor again. She was smiling, but that smile floated on her pale face, just like a mask of human skin hurriedly put on to match everyone's joy. Yikes. Okay, I think we'll do one more part. So this Whispering Glaciers part, we'll get to the end of this this chapter, not chapter, because the whole thing is a chapter, but the end of this sub-chapter, I guess, and then we'll end it there. Okay, this is very loud. Turn that down a bit. Okay. Whispering Glaciers, February 6th, 1926. We arrived at Whispering Glaciers. It was a coastal supply station on the Antarctic Peninsula, designated in our expedition plans as an aurora observation point. We would stay here about a month, waiting for the aurora to return, while assisting the survey team with reconnaissance flights to assess the stability ahead. Okay, I'm gonna pick a different song from the soundtrack, because this one is a little too active. Alright, I think this is good. The slumbering ice. I think it's perfect for what we're doing. I'm just gonna turn it down a bit. Okay. The name had struck me as romantic at first. Setting foot on the ice, I realized how wrong I was. Sound was everywhere. Erosion had honeycombed the ice with dense, porous channels. Wind through those natural ducts triggered a Helmholtz resonance. The hum didn't reach the ears so much as travel up the boots into the bones, climbing the spine into the jaw, as if the entire continent were a vast, living resonator, chanting some ancient liturgy against our eardrums. Ice walls rose meters high, a sickly, translucent blue-green. Sunlight refracted and trapped inside made it impossible to tell where the source lay. Being there felt like standing inside the compound eye of some colossal creature. I was staring into the depths when Rourke's hand fell on my shoulder. Not heavy, but it froze me in place. Also, I just remembered that I left all the artifacts inside the box. So since we got that ticket, I think we want to take it out and add it to the binder, since we do have it. Got my ticket. New York to Panama City, Rodrigo Ricci. So it's my ticket stub, or Rodrigo's ticket stub, and all the stuff. He brought a portable typewriter. That's fancy. That's fun. Yeah, so it's my steamer ticket. So I'll keep that inside the binder since we were able to get it. Okay. I was staring into the depths when Rourke's hand fell on my shoulder. Not heavy, but it froze me in place. Keep your mouth shut, he spoke low, not looking at me, but pointing upward at the precarious ice columns overhead, as if afraid to disturb something. Structure here is brittle as a biscuit. Structure here is brittle as a biscuit. A cough, a scream, the echo alone could drop tons of ice on our heads. Unless you want to end up as canned meat, keep it closed. After saying that, he grinned. From then on, fear took tangible shape. In a space like this, silence wasn't courtesy, but survival. Every time we entered the caves, we had to whisper into each other's ears like thieves. The forced closeness felt cloying, but no one dared test the glacier's temper. We settled into the station. The polar ice never gave second chances, and the so-called hell training now showed us its merciful side. The expedition team warned of an approaching wind wall. We had to finish camp setup before the blizzard swallowed visibility. My hands had lost all feeling. Each hammer swing drove spikes through the ice, the shock climbing my rigid arms into my jaw. I didn't dare slacken. I had seen an untended canvas ripped taut by the wind, screaming as it tore. Here, a single loose spike meant our only shelter could be shredded by the night storm. That evening, I learned the first iron rule of Antarctic survival. Dampness equals gangrene. Socks were disposable. Every night, removing boots became a surgical procedure. Any hint of moisture detected by the fingertips meant immediate replacement. Once sweat froze inside, necrosis began silently at the toes, eating away flesh. Here, losing toes wasn't a disability, it was a death sentence. But the hardest part was water. Antarctica held no liquid water. Away from heat, there was only ice or death by thirst. Thankfully, we'd had survival training at base. When we finally lit the old Primus stove, the air filled with the acrid smell of fuel. In civilization, it might have sickened us. Here, it was the sweetest perfume. It meant hot water, cooked food, and proof we were still alive. Dinner was heated pemmican paste. It was a high-calorie glue of fat, dried meat, and berries. After a day battling ice and wind, that scalding, greasy warmth sliding down the throat felt like grace. For the stomach and the soul alike, it was gratitude. We gathered around the stove like pilgrims, thrusting stiff blue-tinged fingers toward the rising blue flame, greedily catching every escaping scrap of heat. In that vast, intimidating white silence, every hot meal was a small victory snatched from death. And every person who could still laugh beside the fire was, in some sense, a survivor. Alright, and then after that it's a new day, so we will stop there for today. Like, that's a decent place to stop. Before anything wild happens and we get sucked into the story at like a horrible cliffhanger. I feel like that is a good spot. Okay, so I'm putting my save there so that we can load. Close up the binder. Okay. Let's switch back down to the top view. Okay. All right, so that is going to be it for today. I think that's a pretty good stopping point. Wow, we're already in chapter 2, so there's 4 chapters total. So we've started chapter 2, so I mean we're approaching the halfway point, I suppose you could say, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. I wonder if there will be more decisions later on, because, I mean, the fact that there's 13 endings means there has to be quite a bit of variability later, right? Because in the first chapter, there weren't that, and even what we've seen so far in chapter 2, I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of branch-offs. So I'm interested to see how much the story can change from here, but, like, there's gonna be some horrifying stuff coming up in Antarctica, I'm sure. So we'll have to see how that progresses. I already have 1 mark of chaos, which is, it's interesting to say the least. Really curious to see where the story develops from here, because, yeah, there's been some, like, hallucinations and such, but I wouldn't say that there's too much horrific things yet. But hey, the story's barely started. The horror, we know the horror doesn't start until later. It'd be a little weird if it was just like all horror right from the get-go, but just the way that some of those scenes are described is so, like, unsettling, and it's done in such a good way, and the soundtrack is perfect. I wish I'd known a little earlier. I should have known, but sometimes they're Kickstarter updates were so long and I didn't always read them all the way through, so I should have known. But now I'm glad I have access to all of it digitally. So it might be nice sometimes to have things showing on screen. So I might poke around at that and see if I might put together a more Lovecraftian UI for next time, because this is just my usual, like, crafting screen, I guess. I picked it, but I might poke around with the digital files and see if I might be able to arrange something a little more specific and focused for this, because I'm really loving this experience so far. And yeah, I have the digital file, so I could technically put, like, the story on the screen with the PDF, but I just enjoy the analog look of things. And like I said, all of the pieces are so lovingly made that I really prefer to pay homage by showing that. There's something more detached about showing just a PDF on a screen, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And, like, I have plenty of streams, like my fabulous stream that I'm doing tomorrow, where it'll be like a PDF on the screen and all. But with this, I feel like there's something ritualistic in the unpacking of the papers. I love being able to put each sticker onto the board, and I'll take a picture of that board for today to show, like, our progress and everything. But I don't know, I love it. It's that ritual that makes it feel more horror, so you could have backed this game at purely the digital tier and just had all the digital files, but I'm really glad that I got all of these things, because it's just fun fiddling with a little sand scope, rolling the fracture die. I don't know, it's a lot more fun this way. So as much as I love the convenience of digital, there's really just something about that analog feel that I just adore. So I'm glad, and I'm glad that y'all are here to share that experience with me. Okay, so let's see where we shall raid into. Who do we got? Let's see here. Let's see. Tori is doing art, so that might be a good, like, chill stream to go into. Let's see what else people are doing. I was trying to see if there was something a little bit more horror-ish that would work. let's see. Oh, Anna is playing something kind of creepy, the Seance of Blake Manor, but I worry... Oh, nope, Anna just went offline. Okay. So we're not... I should have known because I saw it was like almost 4 hours, so we're not going to do that. Okay. Yeah, so you know what? I think we're going to go into Tori. Because Tori is drawing, and it does not look like she's ending anytime soon. It's only been about 2.5 hours, so I think we will do that. Alright. So we're gonna raid into Tori Fellow Bird VTuber. And she is doing some cool, actually kind of gothic looking art, so not quite horror, but it'll be nice and chill, and I think that's a good place for us to go. So we're going to send the raid there. So there is the raid message that you can copy. It's our usual stuff. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for being here. Appreciate you keeping me company as we go into the depths. And I'm glad that now that we've gotten the game going, because last time there was quite a bit of setup. So this time, now that we've already gotten the binder set up and everything, we're able to just dive right in, because I feel like we just got a lot, and we're only limited by how much I can read. I know my voice was a little dry today as compared to usual. I didn't want to strain it too much. So appreciate everyone for being here and hanging out with me. I'm going to be streaming solo Fabula Ultima tomorrow at around the same time. We're continuing on with our Orion's story. So if you want to see some more Fabula Ultima, I'll be there tomorrow. All right. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Hopefully see you tomorrow, and if not, then I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Hi, Kate. Bye, Kate. And goodbye.